It is 1031, Jocks 94.5. So much stories broke yesterday afternoon in regards to the NIL, what's going on with the Presidential Commission. And there is no one better to get on this program to discuss what is going on in this crazy world of intercollegiate athletics. A former basketball great in his own right in regards to his college career. Mitt Winter joins us, attorney at Kenny Hertz Perry in Kansas City. Mitt, I hope you're doing well. And is your head spinning almost every single day with a different story that you're having to follow? Because this is something else. Every single day, something new.
Yeah, thanks for having me back on again, guys. Yes, there's a lot to keep up on right now, especially yesterday afternoon and last night. There were multiple reports and articles to keep up on, whether it's the House settlement or this new presidential commission that you mentioned. But as always, there's a lot to keep up on in college athletics right now.
All right, so let me ask you this. So let's start with the commission, because we all know Nick Saban very well, covered him every single day for 17 years as the head coach of the University of Alabama. But I want to ask you about Cody Campbell. We read the story a couple weeks ago where he sold his company for $4.1 billion. He's very active with Texas Tech and their NIL program. What else can you tell us about Cody Campbell and what he could bring potentially to this presidential commission?
Yeah, in addition to being very heavily involved in Texas Tech's NIL efforts and funding a lot of that, he's also now the chairman of Texas Tech University. He's also a former Texas Tech football player, so he's obviously very familiar with college athletics from those two things. But in addition, over the last few months of this year, he's written a number of articles looking at the issues in college athletics now and then thinking about ways to potentially solve them. So, based on all of that, he's actually a pretty good person to be part of this commission and be one of the co-chairs, just with all of the experience and thought he's given to these issues.
What do you think, Mitt, this commission, this committee could end up leading to? Obviously, with the current structure of NIL and the want on the behalf of a lot of coaches in college athletics and administrators to put some kind of guardrails on the current system, what could you see this leading to beyond that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard question to answer, obviously, because the commission itself doesn't have any power to create federal laws. So presumably it'll get a group of, good people together that come from a wide variety of backgrounds in business world, college athletics world, legal world, athlete world, and talk about potential holistic solutions. And then the question is, all right, if they do come up with a model that everyone agrees on works going forward, then are they able to put in place the legal framework through Congress to make it all happen? Because to create a holistic solution like kind of the ones that Cody Campbell has written about in his articles, it's going to take changing a number of federal laws, and that's always tricky, and it's going to be especially tricky, I think, now, just with everything going on in the country and in the federal government.
Mitt Winter joins us, attorney at Kenny Hertz Perry in Kansas City, the foremost expert on NIL and this current situation we're in college athletics. So I want to ask you about the very latest was Judge Claudia Wilken in regards to the House settlement. Your thoughts on what took place last night with the new briefs that were filed and now the timeline of what we're looking at potentially getting this in the rearview mirror?
Yeah, so as you guys know, and probably a lot of your listeners know, about 2 weeks ago yesterday, Judge Claudia Wilken told the parties in the House case, I'm going to deny this settlement agreement unless you guys can figure out a better roster limits plan. Because the roster limits plan that you guys currently have, it's going to result in a lot of college athletes who are class members in this lawsuit. They're going to completely lose their roster spots and not be playing college athletics anymore. So she said, report to me in 2 weeks with a revised roster limits plan. And so last night, that's what the parties presented to her. And under the plan, schools are going to be able to voluntarily grandfather in any of their current athletes that either have already been cut or were going to be cut as a result of the roster limits, including any recruits that had a spot and then were told, sorry, we actually don't have a spot for you anymore because of these roster limits. So we'll have to see how Judge Wilkin reacts to that, because it's voluntary. So there will still be some schools that adhere to the new roster limits. And there's counsel for the objectors. They don't agree with the plan that was proposed, and they're going to get a chance to file their own brief explaining to Judge Wilkin why this plan isn't good enough. That's going to be due on May 13th. Then the NCAA and the conferences get to file their reply brief on May 16th. So we're still not going to have any certainty on what's happening with the House settlement until the week of May 19th at the earliest. So things are going to, continue to get pushed along. I personally do think at some point Judge Wilkin will grant final approval to the settlement. It's just really figuring out what this roster limit situation is going to look like.
Obviously money being the main thing here, but why is there so much pushback, or was there originally with the roster limitations from the school side, as opposed to just saying, you know what, we'll bite the bullet here in the early going and then we'll move on?
Yeah, I think one big issue was they had already planned and budgeted for the year with the inclusion of these roster cuts, and had already told athletes, sorry, we're not going to have a spot for you, and told their coaches to go ahead and make these cuts. So I think at a lot of schools, they didn't want to go back and unwind that process. They even told the judge it would be too hard and unwieldy for us to go back and unwind this process. The judge didn't like that answer and said, sorry, that's your own problem. But I think that's probably a big reason why.
Man, in regards to the future, and listen, we don't even know what's going to happen 2 weeks from now, but you follow this much closer than we do, and we get a lot of questions on this show on a daily basis, obviously from Alabama and Auburn fans wanting to know what the future is going to look like. But let's just say 5 years down the road, do you anticipate that there will be some form of collective bargaining with the players and the schools? Do you think this is where ultimately this thing is heading?
I do think that. The big question is whether that would be with the athletes as employees or not as employees. There is some effort to allow college athletes to engage in collective bargaining without being employees, which would require an amendment to federal law, because right now to engage in collective bargaining, you have to be an employee. But I do think that's the best way to reach consensus on the rules that will govern college athletics and end all of the lawsuits and stuff that are going on right now. And if there is a future with collective bargaining, I don't think it's going to be between athletes and their individual schools. I think it'll be broader than that. Maybe between all P4 football players and some new entity that's running college football at that level, and same for other sports. I think that's a more likely scenario.
How likely is it, Mitt, and I know that we're just throwing stuff up against the wall, well, we don't know, but how likely is it from a school perspective that more 2-year contracts will be needed to be signed and then thus honored? And if they're not, then the school ultimately taking recourse on the parties involved?
Yeah, I mean, from the school perspective, if they want to right now try and reduce some of the player movement that's happening, multi-year contracts are definitely a way to do that. It's much easier to have in enforceable buyout terms if you have a multi-year contract as opposed to just a 1-year contract. So I've seen a lot of the contracts that athletes are being presented with recently. Very few of them, if any, are multi-year. They're still really just going with the 1-year contracts, and maybe that's because this is all new and people are still trying to figure things out. But I think moving forward, we probably will see more multi-year contracts based on an effort for the schools to kind of bring a little stability to the movement that's happening right now.
So, Matt, you kind of touched on it, and we've thrown this out there, the idea of a super league, of the Power Four playing, and then perhaps then you're going to have another division. I'm talking about football. I'm not talking about basketball. Or these certain conferences are going to potentially have to drop down to an FCS. So it kind of begs my next question, which is, the people that you talk to, do you anticipate that there's going to be some bigger name schools ultimately going to have to make a decision on whether this House settlement? I know they've all opted in if you're a Power Four, but down the road, do you see a day where there will be a big name school that will shock us all and basically find themselves either having to go down in classification or they just stop having a certain football program?
Uh, Possible, but I think it's probably unlikely for P4 schools to do that, at least under current circumstances. But, maybe if we get 5 years down the road and a school finds that it's having a really hard time funding their athletics department the way they want to fund it and having the programs that they want to have when they're involved at the highest level, maybe they'd say, all right, we want to step down a level. Or I think it would be hard to imagine any P4 team completely dropping football, but I guess crazier things have happened.
He is Mitt Winter, college athletics attorney there at Kenny Hertz Perry at Winter Sports Law on X. Mitt, we always appreciate the expertise and the time. Thank you so much.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Mitt Winter joining us. All of our guests join us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
Well, Alabama Professional Services, that's who you need to call at 205-951-9717 because water can find its way into that crawl space, and if it has not been properly encapsulated, then they need to take care of you today. Call them. They're going to send out their outstanding team, and they're going to give you a free assessment of what's going on and give you a plan, particularly just for your home and the situations that you have, because under that crawl space encapsulation system, it can stop water from coming in, keep the pests out, and it will also lower your energy costs. The engineers at APS are ready to help you today. 205-951-9717 or visit their website at alabamaprofessional.com. We'll unpack some of the things that Matt Winter just told us. All that next on Three Men Front. Great conversation with Mitt Winter. If you missed that conversation, it'll be up momentarily on the podcast. Great information. For all the folks listening to the show down on the Gulf of America, the United States House of Representatives have just officially voted to standardize the name Gulf of America. 211 to 206 was the vote. So, Gulf of America.
Change your map.
We one of my buddies had a Gulf of America hat that we wore to the beach. Got a lot of compliments on it.
Did you really?
It's a very popular.
Is that the one that threw up on the roof?
No, it was not. It was my friend
Good.
that doesn't like sports that you met the other day.
Oh, yeah. Very nice guy.
Yeah.
The guy from
Don't know why he's hanging out with you, but yeah, he's a nice guy.
Is this
His
the guy
dad-
from Sweden?
His dad's a great guy.
That's right. His dad is a great
I
guy.
have no idea why they associate with you, but
They took pity on me. Let's be honest, Pat.
They use Conrad for trivia night.
well, it's kind of what his dad told me. He said it always felt bad for you during the draft, so he always had to pick you.
Yeah, he was mad too because he taught me how to change a tire when I was like 15. And
And then
What?
you forgot.
Well, me and his son, who's my best friend, and we just didn't pay attention. So
Does your friend not know how either?
no, we didn't pay attention.
Goodness gracious.
We were focused on other things.
Man.
You're thinking about cave diving.
That's right. That's right, Pat. That is right. Big spelunker right here.
Mitt Winter, great conversation with Mitt. No, nobody knows if you follow any. And listen, I understand that this is a very complex subject, and even if you read a ton on it, there are still areas of this. It's very gray. But Mitt Winter is an expert, and very fortunate to be able to.
Sorry. ESPN's trying to get in on stuff. Go ahead, Pat. Sorry.
It's okay. I was just saying that Mitt is an expert, and some of his comments in regards to what potentially could happen down the road need to pay very close attention to that, including collective bargaining.
Mm-hmm.
And he also mentioned that collective bargaining would be perhaps not with the school, but with a larger entity. Hence a new NCAA that has been worked on behind closed doors with Trev Alberts and a bunch of other athletic directors and presidents and commissioners, which that will be the new NCAA once all this House settlement is taken care of. But that's going to have to happen. Like you just can't have the current. It's just not sustainable.
No, it's not. And unfortunately, I don't think some of these people that don't want these things in place, they want things to just go status quo. I don't think that they have the future of college athletics best interests at heart. It's a money grab for some of these cats right now.
Absolutely. I mean, there's going to be certain fan bases like, we talk a lot about the Texas schools, right? They're probably sitting there going, this is great for us. Why do we want things to change? And yeah, they're worried about themselves and not the future of the sport. And I get that, right? If it doesn't affect you, you're not going to feel that type of way. But, even for those types of schools, I understand that it feels like the money is unlimited, but if we're 50 years into this, let's say, and we're paying $40 million a year for roster, that's not sustainable for anybody.
No, I think there's some people that have genuine, their efforts are genuine, and where they're coming from is a good place. But like anything else, we've seen it in politics in this state with voting down or not approving a lottery or gambling, that some of the people that are most outspoken, their pockets are getting lined by other people who it would benefit to keep those things out.
Yeah. So we will continue this conversation. Joining us a little bit later in the show, Trey Wallace from Outkick. He will join the program. We'll get his thoughts on Nick Saban being named as one of the co-chairs. One thing that Mitt Winter did say in our interview is that he was very high on Cody Campbell being added to that commission with Nick Saban. He is going to be the co-chair of the commission. He is a Texas billionaire, sold his energy company for $4.1 billion just a couple months ago. He led the NIL collective there at Texas Tech that spent over $10 million during the December portal season for the Red Raiders. He played at Texas Tech, played under Mike Leach. He graduated with honors from the business school at Texas Tech. So this guy knows his stuff.
What do you think, just spitballing with compound interest and daily, if you have $1 billion sitting in an account, did you make that $10 million that day?
Probably.
Yeah, I'm guessing you did.
Probably.
My question is, why has this guy not spent more? You could have had the best of the best.
I mean, I think they feel like they got
they got a pretty good haul.
pretty good haul.
Well, it saved them not having to go get a quarterback either because they already have a pretty decent one, so that saved them.
And we don't
A lot
know
of
about
money.
some of the offers maybe that they made to, hey, Arch.
$10 million.
Hey, Arch, $10 million. And then Texas has to pony up that money.
Wouldn't that be something?
They've got to meet that. Maybe Arch isn't a great example, but yeah.
I'm telling you, depending on how this year's goes, Patrick Mahomes bends the ear a little bit. Hey, there's this kid out in Nebraska. Him and I get along really well. I work out with him in the off season. Just saying.
All right. 800-239-WJOX. Miles is in Mississippi listening on the app. Hey, Miles.
Good morning, everybody. Enjoying the show.
Thank you.
Tell me if y'all feel the same way about this. I see a beautiful irony to all this activity. You know, the Presidential Commission and the House and the Senate and all this. Let me see what you think about it. Number one, Cody Campbell of Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, essentially, I'm paraphrasing. He wants to level the playing field. He wants Texas Tech to be, on par financially with Texas and so on and so forth, or at least your, Ole Miss, what have you. If he really wants to level the playing field, I mean, is he going to be asking for Rice to get the same amount of media money as Texas Tech?
That is a good.
To me, there's hypocrisy there.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact that, I mean, he has gone out and spent $10 million in NIL, and there are certain there are certain programs in the American Athletic Conference that hadn't even spent $1 million.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, it's ironic how he's now going to be part of this commission where he's also part of the problem, because he's the one that's gone out and wrote checks for $10 million during one transfer portal cycle. But now he's wanting to level the playing field. It's like, which is it?
And where does he draw the line on where he levels?
Yeah.
And speaking of irony and just like Cody Campbell and boosters like him helped create the problem, you could say the same thing about Congress. When Congress passed antitrust laws,
Mm-hmm.
which, by the way, are nowhere is Congress given the authority to do that in the Constitution, but I'll stop with that. But when Congress started passing antitrust laws, like a couple hundred years ago, okay, and labor laws and all this, okay, they didn't enhance competition in any business field. They hampered competition. And now it's ironic that we're asked that the same body who helped create the problems, we're asking to come in and fix the problems. And I hope they can do something, but it's just a beautiful irony that they're having to give an exception to antitrust laws, which they created.
Yeah. That's a really good point.
Yeah, and then you take a league like Major League Baseball that has the antitrust exemption.
Mm-hmm.
And, many people believe that they shouldn't have that in regards to the way that they handle their financial situation. But it's going to come down to a fact that they're going to have to collective bargain with these players as a group. They're going to have to. I mean, there's no way that the sport can sustain it, period. I mean, when you listen, we talk to people across college football, and I know a lot of people believe the Alabama and Auburns have just as much money as they can print. That is not the case. And it is going to come to roost one day soon. They need to fix this because not everybody is Texas and Texas A&M, and that includes Alabama and Auburn.
Yep.
No, gentlemen, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And I don't see the Supreme Court appealing antitrust laws anytime soon.
No.
They have too much political capital to lose.
Yeah, they got a little bit on the ledger. Thank you, Miles, for the phone call. Thanks for listening on the app. Safe travels there throughout the state. of Mississippi. Hour number 1 in the books. Coming up, Rodney Orr, Tider Insider. We'll talk to Rodney about a multitude of things. We're glad you're with us on a beautiful Thursday, Victory Day, here in the United States of America. Three-man front and Jocks 94.5.
It is 11 o'clock. Welcome back in. It is hour number 2 of Three Man Front. Out of the gate, talking all of the NIL situation, the House settlement, Nick Saban being named to the Presidential Commission, all the fun and frivolity that goes along with that. Joining us from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, the proprietor of Tider Insider, Rodney Orr, joins us now on the Higginbotham Hotline. Rodney, I hope you're doing well on this Thursday.
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
We are doing fantastic. I hope the president and Nick Saban being in town the other night did not disrupt any activity there at the Orr household.
It did not. But it was interesting. I thought there were some really interesting things that came from that. And, you know, Pat Landrum, when I start getting text messages from my friends in Texas about, that, it was it was something that really got people's attention.
How much confidence did you have? I actually have a lot of confidence. Now some people are kind of pessimistic that a whole lot comes out of this committee that's been recently announced by President Trump with Nick Saban co-chairing it. I actually have confidence that that Nick Saban's voice, people will actually listen and maybe it gets done at another level. What are your thoughts, Rodney?
I have to agree. I mean, you always think, I think if you're kind of positive or optimistic that something good's going to happen. And I think this could be one of the positive steps in the right direction, because I think everyone knows, everyone believes, or most people do anyway, that this is needed to have guardrails and rules and regulations and something for everyone to go by. And I just think this could be a really positive step, in the right direction with this committee.
In regards to some of the texts and stuff that you're getting from the people from Texas, did they think that this was a good thing that you had Nick Saban in a drafting mode with the President Trump, or did they have some issues with that?
Well, they're not too worried about it right now, spending that $40 million on a roster.
Right.
They just, they don't want that messed up for sure. But no, I mean, I just think it was just the notoriety of him coming to Tuscaloosa and being here, Trump, and with Saban introducing him, just the all that surrounded that was something that, obviously just generated a lot of attention and a lot of positive vibes for the university, I think.
And with the future, and we know just the volatility of the transfer portal and guys jumping rosters, Kalen DeBoer, Alabama, and they've done a great job of roster retention. What are some of the different ways that you've heard, that you've learned that they've been able to do that besides just selling culture?
I think that really that one of the keys is, when they recruit the guys, the two classes that they have now, and then what they did when they came in, and you said the culture, but at the same time, it's just, the building of these relationships, I think, has been something that's been extremely important. Recruiting the right kind of guys, the guys that want to be a part of what they want to do here, that's not necessarily all about NIL or the money they make. I think those are the kind of guys that they're looking for. And I've said this before. I think it's a little bit about, and again, I know you said culture, but it's what it is. I mean, it's a lot of what, to me, very similar to what Dabo's doing at Clemson or has done. Maybe not quite to that extreme, but I think that's a lot of it, what they're trying to build right here now.
In regards to high school recruiting, you and I both have seen the kind of decline of that. I'm not talking about that there's not good players out there to be had, but it's just now I guess in the forefront for most schools is trying to get veterans. And to get veterans, you got to go in the transfer portal. From an Alabama perspective, do you see them slowing up at all in regards to their high school recruitment, or is it at the level in regards to the numbers and the getting out there and trying to make these offers to these kids as they have in the past?
I think it is, Pat, because I think really what Kalen DeBoer wants to do, he wants that to be the foundation of the program, is the guys that they evaluate, recruit, build relationships with, ensure that they bring in the right kind of mindset here and continue to build that once they get here. I think those are the things that are really important for what they want to do. And so I do think high school recruiting is still a top priority here. And I think with that, of course, obviously you have the opportunity to use the portal. I think they used it really effectively. People talk about, well, they only brought in 2 guys in this second portal. Yeah, but look back to the first portal and all the success that they had filling in the spots that they wanted to bring in players. So I think they'll obviously use both, but I do think that high school football recruiting, these prospects, is going to remain extremely high, in terms of their priority to build the program.
I know it seems like it's relatively early in the process, but it's really not with the early signing period. I'm going to ask you to pull up your internal database there. Who are some of the hot names that we're going to be talking about, especially in the late summer months and early fall?
Well, I mean, they obviously, June is a huge month, and we're going to have a preview the entire month here in a week or two on Tighter Insider, the kids that they have coming in, which is a tremendous list. But I mean, I think, again, and some people kind of questioned this last year, what would he do? What would Kalen DeBoer and their staff do in the state of Alabama? And I think most people thought or said this was kind of the feeling or the response to what happened last year in the state, was that maybe they didn't do very well. But I think it's just building those relationships. And I think, when you look at guys like Cedarian Morgan out of Benjamin Russell, the wide receiver, Alabama's in a very strong position with him. Xavier Crowell, the running back from Jackson, Alabama's in a tremendous spot with him. I think they're very much in the picture for Tank Jones down in Mobile. So all of those top players in the state of Alabama, I think they've done a really good job of positioning themselves. Don't know that they're going to get them all, but I think they're, certainly in a great position with him. And I know that just like for priorities, I mean, obviously, on the offensive side of the ball, you got to me, build on the offensive line, and they've got several offensive linemen that they're evaluating, bringing in. And don't forget now, they had a really good offensive line class this past year. So you want to put together another one. And I think, also the wide receivers. I mentioned Cedarian Morgan. They've got a kid coming in from Texas who reclassified, Booby Feaster, who's a top-notch prospect. He'll be in, late May. They're in on several other receivers as well. And then, on the defensive side, obviously you want to start on the defensive line, and they're in on Elijah Golden and J.J. Finch and even a kid there locally that in Bessemer that I think has a chance to make a move. Emmanuel Ruffin, he's a guy that has impressed in some of these camps. So, and they're in on, several other defensive linemen around the country. But, those are obviously some of the priorities. And I think running back, and as I mentioned with Xavier Crowell, I think that's a position that you need to bring in at least a couple of guys that I think are top-level players.
A lot of people have called this show, and I know a lot of people will post on your message boards talking about winning the state championship in Alabama when it comes to recruiting. Now, Alabama, even under Nick Saban, they would cast a very wide net across the country in regards to recruiting. Auburn had a banner year last year within the state of Alabama. Auburn is really high on a lot of the top talent coming in as seniors this year at the high school level. Do you anticipate that Alabama will be more active in the state borders of Alabama this year with these top recruits, or they continue to look at those kids, but the wide net continues to be nationally?
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly you have to cast that wide net, as you said. I don't think there's any doubt about that to be successful at Alabama, because there are limited numbers. There's some really, really good players, but I think you have to be successful in the surrounding states, but also nationally, which they have been. Obviously, they had a tremendous amount of success in California last year, for example. But no, I mean, you've already got, commitment from Jamarian Matthews, who, although I know he's at Gainesville, Georgia, or is going to Gainesville, Georgia, he's originally from Madison Sparkman. I mean, he was a guy that now is going over to Georgia to play, but they've got him. They've got Cam Johnson from Muscle Shoals already committed. They've got Zion Gibson from Gadsden City, who's one of the top 5 corners in the country, according to some of these rankings. So they're already kind of, building a strong foundation in the state. And I mentioned Cedarian Morgan. I mentioned Xavier Crowell. I mentioned Tank Jones. I think certainly they want to get those, whatever the number is in state that they feel like fit into the program. I think they want to make those guys, they're a priority. But again, like you said, I think they do have to cast that net really wide.
It's really early, and I don't want you to view this as an unfair question. I just want to get your thoughts. When we get midway through the season and Alabama's played, 6 games, is this going to be a team that's categorized as a defensive-led team or an offensive-led team?
Man, that is a really good question, because I think they can be extremely good on defense. I think there's a lot of confidence about the defense. I really do. Obviously, I think you asked me a question last week, I think, Landrum, about is there one spot that maybe Alabama needed to have someone step up. I should have said one of the things I've talked to some people about spring practice is edge rusher. They've got to find a guy, I think, who can, whether it's an LT Overton, or one of those Wolf linebackers, Quay Rousseau, Yanze Pierre, whoever it is, they've got to have somebody that can really step up and become that consistent pass rushing threat on the outside. And that's a key. But I think defensively, they have a chance to be really strong. Now, offensively, you look at them now with Ryan Grubb here, it's going to be really interesting to see. I think that's something that I don't have a lot of concerns about them offensively because of the track record that they have. I think it's really key, though, at quarterback. And I think we all understand that right now Ty Simpson is the guy that's at the head of the pecking order, and that you would probably predict to start the Florida State game. And I just think the key for Ty is going to be decision making and playing with confidence. I mean, I think Ty, the real key there is going to be what's going to happen when adversity strikes. How are you going to respond to that? I think those are all questions that we don't really know. Obviously, we can't answer those right now. But I think, to be honest with you, I'm pretty excited about the team in general, whether it's offense or defense.
Rodney Orr joins us from Tider Insider. You were just talking about what you're excited about looking at this team. When fall camp begins, and we'll have those scrimmages, and then we'll have some news break out about who looks good or whatever the case may be, what position group you think is going to excite the fan base the most? I'm talking about once they come out of fall camp, not getting ready to play Florida State, but just those initial renderings of the scrimmages. What position group you think that will have the fans most excited?
I think I'm going to go wide receiver. Of course, you got to get the ball to them, but I'm going to go wide receiver, I think. I think with Jeremy Bernard, Ryan Williams, the addition of Isaiah Horton, some of the other guys that they have, obviously Cole Adams is back. They have some other guys back, but I think a couple of freshmen could play a big part in it too. Latsier Brooks, really explosive player that had a good spring. And I think Derek Meadows, at 6'6", close to 6'6", and 210 pounds, and with his speed. And I think he was kind of surprised people that he was a little more polished as a receiver than what maybe some people thought coming in. So I think wide receiver is going to be a position that you're going to see a big difference come the fall.
That is Rodney Orr, Tider Insider, joins us every Thursday. Rodney, big plans this weekend around the house? You got some honeydews to do, or just hanging out?
Well, you got to have a honey first, right? So, but I tell you, I got a lot of cleaning to do, guys. So that's probably what I'll spend my weekend doing.
Well, that sounds good. You better get it all done now, because before we know it, it will be football season.
Would you rather dethatch your yard like I'm going to be doing?
No.
Yeah.
Or not.
Yeah, enjoy cleaning.
That sounds like fun, though, huh?
Yeah, it's going to be
anything that has the word D in front of it.
Yeah.
That does not sound fun to me.
No, it doesn't.
No. Rodney, always appreciate your time. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay, guys. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you very much. That is Rodney Orr joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services. Well, there is white smoke being detected out of the Sistine Chapel. It appears the Catholic faith, they have elected a new pope.
Now we just wait to see who is revealed.
Nick Saban will be interesting to see if he releases a statement. He is of the Catholic faith. He met with the Pope a few years back, did he not? When he was over in Italy?
Yes.
Didn't he get a chance
I believe
the
he
Pope?
said that. Yeah.
Yeah. We will see which direction
he did not have a
going
vote.
in.
For those of you who are unclear, he did not have a vote in this process.
He didn't.
Why not? He should have.
No. I am not Catholic. I have some friends I will call brothers and sisters that are of the Catholic faith, and learning more about this process has been fascinating.
Are you going to watch the movie tonight?
So when they're served lunch, the Cardinals cannot be served by anyone. They have to go to the buffet, just so there's no potential of having a note or any information passed on to them. Did not know that until today.
So it's like being on a jury?
Yeah.
Where you're not allowed to talk to anybody?
Mm-hmm.
Sequestered. That's the word you're looking for.
It's a big word, Pat.
Yes, way too many
Baby
syllables
steps for
me.
Conrad.
They also sleep. They have a 130 room area where all the Cardinals sleep there.
Have you ever seen The Two Popes, the movie?
I have not.
It's a good movie.
Wait, are there 130
100
Cardinals?
133? Is it 133 Cardinals?
I think that's right.
None.
That's the same number of FBS schools, just about.
But none of them 80 or older are allowed to vote. But they could actually vote for a pope who is older than 80, which is kind of interesting.
Okay. Whatever works.
Mm-hmm.
But you mentioned that EWTN has had outstanding.
Yeah, they have.
coverage.
EWTN right here in Birmingham.
Yep, right here in Birmingham. The outstanding network that has been all over this, as with the other news sources. So when we get
When we know,
news,
you will know.
Yeah, we will pass that along as the.
Can I put in my?
Are you making your prediction?
I'm going to make my official prediction now.
Is this your I ain't scared bold prediction for the Pope?
Yes.
Maybe we should ask Molly. Molly whipped y'all in the
I'm going to vote for. I think it's going to be Pietro Peralta.
What are the odds on Pietro?
He's the Northern Italian. Is that correct?
Correct.
How do you know that? Have you been doing your background research on the candidates?
No, I'm not Catholic either. But
no, I'm just impressed. The Northern Italian guy.
Pat's dialed into this for other reasons. He's got the inside track.
That's true.
But he's not Catholic.
No.
Trustful Baptist Church. Good old back row Baptist.
Maybe the Gators are Catholic.
No, because I'm pretty sure I've seen him feed them chicken on Friday.
Okay.
All right, more three-man front on this Thursday. Coming up at 11:45, we'll talk to Rob Pate, Trey Wallace from Outkick next hour. This is three-man front on Jocks 94.5. There is white smoke. The 133 cardinal electors gathered at the Vatican Sistine Chapel. They have elected a new pope. We still don't know who that new pope is, but he will appear very soon at the central window of St. Peter's Basilica there in Rome, in Vatican City, which is the smallest country in the world.
It's a very cool place.
Yep. And then, the Swiss Guard that they have there. All of those guys are military trained over in Switzerland. They hand select just a few every single year. And you have to make a 2-year commitment.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
It was very cool. I was lucky when I was over there. It was Christmas time, and so they had in the center square, you had this giant Christmas tree, and everything was all day. It looked like a little Christmas village inside the Vatican City. It was very cool.
Watching the Swiss Guard though train to have to hold the, I don't know. It's something else, but like a long wooden staff or whatever. But they practice. And they have to work on their breathing techniques, and it was a fascinating watch.
Takes a lot of dedication.
It does.
You have to really love it.
You do. I love Dobbs Ford. If you're looking for your own Pope Mobile, you can get out to Dobbs Ford right there on Parkway East. Yes, they do have Broncos and Broncos Sports, the convertible type. Or if you want to go with a Mustang, a F-150, great selection, you're going to get Alabama's largest showroom selection. They're going to be any competitor's price. And right now, you're going to pay what the Ford employees pay. Select makes and models. You pay what they pay. And 90 days. You get to wait 90 days until you make your first payment. That makes things easier for everyone. It's Dobbs Ford. Great people. Joey and Rachel Goshen, their son Austin, the entire team there at Dobbs Ford. DobbsFordBirmingham.com. DobbsFordBirmingham.com. You're going to love these folks. Even if you don't buy anything, you're going to enjoy the experience. Make sure you tell them Landrum from Jock 94.5 sent you.
Molly, you said you saw some odds a moment ago on the potential of the new pope.
Well, I guess with the pope, the odds are a little different. It's more so based on percentage chances.
Okay.
But it's still from Bet365 and Betfair. Right now, what is it, Pietro?
Mm-hmm.
He has the best odds at
Pietro
31%.
Perlin? Okay.
At what? I'm sorry, what percent?
31%.
31, okay.
Nice.
Yes. Luis Antonio at 23%, but 29% on Betfair. Peter Turkson at 10%. Matteo Zuppi at 14%.
I'm impressed with your pronunciations.
I'm really trying here. Pizzaballa?
Nah, you blew it.
Pizzaballa? Is that it?
Ooh, I would go with the first one.
You kind of butchered that one.
Yeah, well, that's at 13%. And then Peter is at 10%.
Who?
Oh, Peter Erdo.
Is he the American?
I don't know.
There's an American that was in the mix.
No, I think that might have been one of the top ones that you were talking about.
Peter? The other Peter? There's two Peters.
Yeah, give us the first Peter.
Peter Turkson.
Is that the one?
It sounds
like the
familiar.
most American name so far.
That's what I was thinking too.
Okay, so an announcement of a new pope from the Vatican is every network that we have on here in studio. I mean, I'm even seeing Adam Schefter tweet about it.
So, and I heard that Pietro, I think this is right, where if he is not the elected pope, then he is the one that comes out to make the announcement and to introduce the new pope.
So how are we going to know if he's
not out there, that means it's him.
Wouldn't that, I don't know, that would just be kind of unfortunate, wouldn't it? Because you're like, okay, so I'm either going to be the guy that's the pope or I'm going to be the guy that announces who the next pope is, and I have to act excited about it because it's not me.
So right now they're putting on all the, I guess the new pope is putting on all his new gear. Got to get the red shoes and.
So does he come to the window in his full regalia?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think so, yeah.
I didn't know if they had a separate
I want to know
ceremony.
What's the reaction when he finds out? Like, do you get a fist pump or is it just very calm and collected? Thank you.
Well, I mean, he's in the room when they
honor.
vote. So, I mean.
I just like to imagine this one, old guy just stands up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I don't know if they're that demonstrative.
I knew it would be
but
me.
I think there's definitely a fist bump.
You got to be excited about that.
Yeah. Well, but just learning a little bit, and some of this is from movies, and there have been liberties that have been taken in that, but also some documentaries that I've been watching, and a lot of these guys have been reluctant to be put in that position.
Like they don't want to be the Pope?
Right. But then they have to accept it as the Holy Spirit.
Gotcha.
And a lot of Cardinals have said that they went in with a preconceived notion of who they wanted to vote for, but then kind of clearing things and the Holy Spirit intervening and saying, impressing on their heart that this is who they need to go with.
Interesting. So can we make Molly's first movie of the summer be Conclave?
Let's go 2 popes first.
2 popes first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Conclave's got a really good cast.
It is. I kind of want to watch it now.
You got Tucci, you got Lithgow. Who's the guy that played in The Menu? Who's the chef?
I know,
in The
that's what I'm
Menu?
thinking. It's the chef from The Menu. I can't
He's
think
been in
his
a
name,
lot of
but
good
he's
roles.
really good.
Yeah.
It's been a good week for Cardinals. They've won 5 in a row in the National League
There
Central.
you go.
And
There
now
you
they've
go.
elected a new pope.
Yep.
This is a big moment, Landrum. Please excuse yourself from this conversation.
Okay.
But the 3 of us, all of our teams are 500 or better.
Yeah!
Winning baseball. Woo!
Sorry, Landrum can't be part of the 500 club yet.
He's still excusing himself from the conversation.
So is he?
You can come back now.
Congratulations to all of you.
Thank you.
We're very, very excited.
Yeah, I'm very excited for all of you.
Y'all got close. Y'all had some fight. It was close.
Yeah. We got Swelly on the bump today.
Schwelle.
Yeah, he's not been great. Molly.
Yeah, let me
If they
share
lose. If they
some of
lose,
the,
I'm holding you accountable.
Me?
Yeah.
All right, so Schwelly, his first 3 starts this year had a 0.45 ERA and a 149 opponent's batting average and gave up 1 home run.
Exactly.
In his last 4 starts, he has an ERA of 7.17 and he's given up 4 home runs.
Yee.
So he's doing the opposite Chris Sale.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, if they can get both on the same page,
That would be
going in the
beneficial.
same direction.
Would be beneficial.
Now, last night, it did not look good for Grant Holmes, giving up those 4 runs in the first 4 innings. Hunter Green, well,
He looked good.
he did. But, he threw 114 pitches in his last start, the most of his career, and then he has to leave Atlanta in the 4th inning. Good news for Atlanta. Spencer Strider threw a bullpen session yesterday. Felt good.
Didn't hurt himself.
He did not hurt himself throwing the ball. So they'll see how he feels today. And if he feels okay, then perhaps he's
Back in the mix this weekend?
I don't know if this weekend, but
We couldn't
Strider
get any
versus
timely.
Skeens.
We just couldn't get any timely hits late. We just couldn't do it.
Verdugo couldn't step up when he was called upon.
Mm-mm. It wasn't just him. It was Austin Riley. And then the last chance that we had is Michael Harris reaches on a single with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th. Yeah, Eddie Rosario stood in hitting 143.
Snicker said he was trying to catch lightning in the bottle.
Yeah, well, that lightning is gone.
Just go sign Adam Duvall. Bring him back.
Might as well.
Does Dan Uggles still play? Is he still floating around out there?
Yeah. Goodness.
It's all right. Back to the winning ways today, right, Landrum?
That's right.
Just
Yep.
a little bump in the road.
Get it back and then go to Pittsburgh and take care of business.
That's right.
6 o'clock tonight, right here on Jocks 94.5.
Well, don't forget Mother's Day is this weekend, so get her the perfect gift at Diamonds
Wait,
Direct.
Mother's Day is Sunday?
It is this Sunday
At 11 a.m.?
at 11 a.m. Well,
11
it's all
a.m.
day.
at
That's a
Protective
Stallions
Stadium.
game.
At a Protective Stadium.
Stallions game.
Yeah.
During Mother's Day.
But Mother's Day is all day, so why not get her something from Diamonds
That's
Direct?
a perfect idea.
Whether her style is classic, modern, or even somewhere in between, you will find the perfect piece from diamond studs to elegant pendants and so much more. Their selection is huge, and they can help you create something perfect, whether it's a meaningful birthstone jewelry, symbolic pieces, or even a custom design. So like I said, this Mother's Day, shop at Diamonds Direct to give mom the most because no one deserves it more.
All right, we're awaiting official word from the Vatican.
Look at the Swiss guard walking in.
A new pope has been selected. We are waiting to him to come to the window there at St. Peter's Basilica.
Pep band is on site.
Yep. So we will tell you who the new pope is when we come back. This is 3 Man Front on Jocks 94.5. We started the show at 10:30 talking to Mitt Winter, one of the preeminent NIL attorneys from Kansas City, Missouri. You will see his name on articles from the AP, The Athletic, ESPN.com. He is an expert when it comes to that. If you missed that interview, strongly recommend that you download it at the Three Man Front podcast. Also, Rodney Orr just wrapped up a conversation with him talking about Alabama recruiting. Rob Pate will join us in about 10 minutes from now. Trey Wallace from Outkick at the top of the hour. We're awaiting word from St. Peter's Basilica there in wonderful Rome, Italy. Actually, Vatican City, to be technically correct. As a new pope has been chosen by the 133 cardinals. So we are awaiting word from the Vatican balcony.
I think it's my guy.
You think it's your guy?
Uh-huh.
Is that what the interwebs are saying?
The interwebs are saying that, and some of these sites that you turned me on to during election season.
Oh, okay. Like Polymarket and stuff like that?
Yeah, like Polymarket.
Yeah.
One of them, once the smoke started coming out, the odds soared of Cardinal Pietro Parolin. I really hope that I'm pronouncing his name correctly, being announced as the Pope.
He's up to 70%.
Yeah, it's gone up.
No, is it 70%?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wonder if it was all right, if they come to a quick decision, it's going to be this guy. He seems like the shoe-in, and if it gets dragged out, then maybe that's when some of the other names come into play.
I think it was Pope Julius. That was the quickest vote that they ever had during conclave.
Well, there was one that didn't went 4 years. They didn't have one.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. 4 years they could not come to a conclusion.
I really want to know what happened after 4 years where they went, yep, that's the guy.
But I think if I'm not mistaken, around 1100 they changed the way that they currently choose the Pope. It was chosen in a different way before.
Yeah.
So they're doing it the same way they did it 1,000 years or 900 years ago. That's wild.
There's a few popes. If you go back to the timeline of the different men that have served as Pope, there's a couple where you're like, ooh, not really sure what was going on there. Long time ago. But very interesting. Maybe not the way that you think of the Pope now. Man, there's a lot going on here.
A lot of happy people.
Yeah.
They're in St. Peter's
Yeah,
Square.
it's a big moment.
And Molly, you've been there, right?
I have. When I was 14, I got to go to the Vatican, see the Sistine Chapel, the Basilica. It was really cool. And I got to see Pope Francis, too, because they were doing like a little parade thing. And he waved to me.
Was he a Nebraska fan?
He waved.
He is now.
You think he waved to you, or he was just waving in your general direction?
No, it was in my general direction.
Okay.
But I like to think that he waved at me.
No, y'all made eye contact.
Sure,
We
there
did.
you go. Man, we're just sitting here anxiously waiting the.
Yeah. Man.
What if they did, like how, kids now when they do their recruitments, they'll put on all the hats and throw them off and then put on the real hat for where they're actually committing? What if they walk somebody out there and they're like, no, we're just kidding. They pull them back inside and then here's the real Pope.
I don't think they'll be doing that, Conrad.
I don't think that they would either, Pat. I'm just trying to think of funny stuff that they could do. Trying to make this more entertaining.
Well, this is a very serious situation, Conrad.
It's very serious, Conrad.
This is not for the light of heart.
Are you out of crayons?
Yes.
Molly, go get him some more
Okay.
crayons.
I'll be right back.
I'm so bored in here.
No, a very big deal.
Well, you could always get Mike Newton on the phone and y'all talk Yankees baseball like you did for 20 minutes before he came on the show yesterday.
Yeah,
I
he
talked
was-
to him after the show. We talked on the phone.
He was
when
worn
I got
out
home yesterday.
He
I
was
know,
worn
you
out
could
when he came
tell.
on here.
He was like, do really have to do this interview with Landrum and Pat now that Conrad has exhausted me just talking about the Columbus Clippers and the minor league franchises of the New York Yankees?
I'm going up to Rickwood after the show tomorrow. I got some big business to talk about.
One of our listeners said, look up the schism, the Western Schism, also known as the Papal Schism, of 1378. Do you know anything about this, Pat?
I do not.
Wow. I really thought Pat would be all
Apparently,
over that.
it was two popes that got elected.
What year was it? 1378?
Yeah. Molly, Phil, while I read.
Interesting. It
Just-
says it split the Catholic Church from 1378 until 1417, and they had two popes. and they both claim to be the true pope, and it split the church in half.
Huh.
That's interesting.
It is.
That's actually really interesting.
Some politics involved.
So what do y'all? Because I'm watching something. Is it just a camera shot of the window right now?
No, I mean,
No,
there's a
no.
lot of pomp and circumstance going on.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We have the band. I call it the pep band, but the band that came in, and then you had some of the Swiss Guard, and then you have other dignitaries. Now you have another band that has arrived.
I like this band.
This band?
Yeah.
That's a bigger band. This would be more like the marching band.
Yeah.
I just wonder how much heads up, because I'm all about logistics, and I'm sitting here wondering how much, like, were these bands like ready to go?
Yeah.
Were they told right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. They have to be during conclave, they have to be on call.
Really?
Wow.
So they're just on.
Like
They
moments.
are
24
ready to
hour
go.
standby.
Yes. The
Huh.
planning, the orchestration, it's a work of art.
So does this ceremony just go on whenever? Because I'm just curious, is it going to be at this time regardless, or is it if they came to a decision at 1 a.m, they would just go out there at 1 a.m. and start the process?
I think so. I mean, he gets
Yeah.
to work immediately.
Yep.
Wow.
So as we continue to wait, we
Pope watch.
will be joined by Rob Pate. He will join us coming up next on the program. This is Three Man Front, Jocks 94.5. It's 11:45, Jocks 94.5. We'll go to Auburn, Alabama momentarily and talk to our good friend Rob Pate, former Auburn DB. Now is the best time for you to check out Courtesy GMC in Trussville. The very best in inventory and sales and service is found right there off of I-459 exit 32 at Courtesy GMC. The inventory at Courtesy is outstanding. Plenty of models to choose from like the Yukons, Yukon XLs, Acadias, Terrains, trucks like the Sierra 1500 and the Canyon. And the pre-owned inventory is the deepest you're going to find anywhere in central Alabama. Courtesy is going to beat any deal on any new GMC. They're the lowest price dealer in the state of Alabama in the Southeast. You don't need to drive anywhere else. Drive to Trussville right off of I-459, exit 32 in Trussville on Edwards Lake Road, or check out their inventory at courtesybirmingham.com.
Our friend Rob Pate joining us here on Three Man Front and joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Rob, how are you today?
I'm doing great, guys. I told Conrad I'm driving around town trying to maintain good reception for you so that I don't drop off like I have been. I think Red Elephant Club's been after me.
What have you done to draw the ire of the REC?
I just exist as an Auburn vocal person on sports talk radio in Birmingham. I mean, that's all it takes, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty much all it takes.
Rob is item number one in all our meetings.
Yeah, that's right.
I have plenty of great Alabama friends and respect them very much, and I envy their success.
Yes, well said. I do want to get your thoughts on Nick Saban co-chairing a committee that President Trump has formed for maybe the future of NIL and college athletics.
Well, I mean, as an Auburn fan, you got to be wary of that because, man, I mean, it's I'm not sure that if Coach Tuberville is on that committee as well, then maybe we get some equal justice there. But look, I mean, I don't know that there's anybody more suited to be able to handle and discuss those things clear-minded and have seen it from both sides. Now whether or not anything's able to get done and anything's able to withstand court challenges, that remains to be seen. But yeah, I mean, something's got to happen, or our programs are going to cease to exist, and what we've known college football as, which has already changed dramatically, will continue to change in ways that I just don't think we like.
One thing that we have discussed many, many times on this show, and I just want to get your thoughts on this. Ultimately, when it's all said and done, do you anticipate, Rob, in regards to the Power Four, they would be playing in their own sort of division, so to speak, and then the likes of the Jacksonville States, the Troys, the UABs, that they would be probably relegated to a smaller, let's say a division, before you would go all the way down to an FCS? Do you think that's ultimately what's going to have to happen just because of the monetary investment that these schools are going to have to make, and those smaller schools just can't do it?
I do think ultimately that's where it lands. I don't know how much fight those smaller schools will put up because, they're itching and clawing and trying to stay relevant in big leagues and move up to bigger conferences with all the conference realignment. But, yeah, I do think that it's just going to become a competitive standpoint monetarily that you just can't do it. I do think that there's something to be said. I heard somebody mention an idea that when you take a player that exits a Jacksonville State, or let's just say East Carolina, where my daughter is, and they have some kids that end up having big seasons. They transfer out of their conference into bigger conferences. I think it is a good idea to look at those schools having some sort of compensation for developing and basically training these kids for the next step that they will take in their journey. They get these kids out of high school, they take chances on them, they develop them, they give them an opportunity to go out and show their talent. And the bigger schools like what they see, and the smaller schools are left there kind of holding nothing. And, I do think you pay the player and then reimburse the school for the time and effort of getting that player ready for the Power Four.
Rob Pate talking to Auburn, joining us here on Three Man Front. All of our guests join us on the Higginbotham Hotline. We run all kinds of Twitter polls here on the show to get just feedback from our listeners every single day, Rob. And one, and I'm kind of paraphrasing it, but was what was the confidence of Auburn fans, and this actually came from one of the Auburn sites, but it was the confidence of Auburn fans on their ability in the regular season to win 9 or more games, or how many were confident that it would be 8 or less during the regular season. Where do you think that number sits for you when you look at the schedule without having it in front of you? I know you're driving around town, but which side would you veer more towards? Would it be 8 or less during the regular season, or would it be 9 or more?
Well, I think the expectation is that people are hoping that Auburn can get over the hump and get to 9 or more, because I think that the reality is that if they don't, then they know that there's going to be a lot of chirping that starts taking place about, is this a failure in a coaching staff, and do we need to start looking in a different direction and that kind of thing, because by and large Auburn's got what they need to be competitive and to be able to win football games in this league. It's kind of one of those, I'm kind of in a wait and see approach, because I thought Auburn had the talent. They did have the talent to win more games than they did last year. No excuse for having a losing record last year. I mean, just had games get away that they had no business losing. And that can't become a hallmark of a program. And until you learn to rectify that, it's going to be hard to get over that barrier of getting to 9 or 10 or making yourself a competitive playoff caliber team. But I think they've totally revamped the offensive line to where they ought to be able to compete there up front, protect the quarterback. They've got a quarterback that they believe in, that has played in this league. They got capable players everywhere, and so it's time to kind of put up and get over that hump. And my expectation is that they do it, because I think they're talented enough to do it, and I think the schedule's favorable enough to do it. But Auburn's we've had a lot of hiccups and lost to a lot of teams that we had no business losing to in the last 2 years. Definitely can't afford that again this year.
And by no stretch am I predicting this, but I'm just curious from your perspective, if this falls well short of the expectations that you just talked about and the fans are expecting this year, and we're talking about 8-9 wins, and let's say they get to a bowl game at 6-6. Is there a serious conversation about the future of this program next year?
I think there probably would be. Some of it, I think, Pat, would depend on what those games look like that you lost and who you lost to.
Yeah, let's say you beat Georgia and Alabama at home, but then you struggle and lose at Oklahoma and Texas A&M.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand that.
I still think you're going to have people that say, listen, there's no excuses. I mean, if you have the talent to be able to beat an Alabama and a Georgia, then you shouldn't be losing to an Oklahoma or a Texas A&M or a Vanderbilt or a Kentucky or a New Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so those are the games that you can't let get away. I mean, those have to be solid in your corner, in your favor. Those are for sure victories, even though I know nothing's for sure in college football. But when you're a program that's on the right trajectory, those things are all but locked in solid, and that hasn't just been the footing Auburn's been playing from right now. And so if that's the same thing at the end of this season, then yeah, I think that conversation begins to really unfurl. But if Auburn can win some of these games that Auburn people aren't used to walking out with victories over the last couple of years, then that's a shot in the arm that you can get the ball rolling and you start to learn to be competitive as a program, and then anything can happen at that point.
Rob, should Bruce Pearl be paid more than Hugh Freeze?
Yeah, he should.
Yeah.
It's what he's done with Auburn basketball is tantamount to. I don't think there is another parallel that you can draw to that. I mean, Auburn basketball was a nothing. I mean, it just had no fan support. It had no chance of postseason play. I mean, you guys know that. You don't need me to explain it. What he's done in basketball is remarkable, and what Coach Freeze has done in football, he's done really well at getting better talent, and what he had to inherit, I think, is significantly poor compared to what his peers have. But I don't think that it was worse than what Bruce Pearl inherited. So he's shown you that there's a recipe for success. And I think Coach Freeze is pretty close to Coach Pearl. He's just got to get it right on game day, and we'll see if that can happen.
All right, I got to ask you before we let you go, a very, very busy weekend in Auburn. You've got Auburn baseball. They've got South Carolina coming up. You've got graduation ceremonies all weekend there at Auburn. I know you guys at Sweet Frog, you guys are going to be busting at the seams this weekend with traffic.
Oh, there's no doubt, and grateful for that. I mean, it's been phenomenal. Just the patience that people have shown, the gratitude they've had, but just the repeat customers that come in. And I mean, we just enjoyed getting to meet so many college students, so many people in the community, and the cross section of culture. And it's been a lot of fun. But yeah, lose another crop of seniors. We have a couple of seniors on our staff that on our team that'll be graduating and moving on. But it's been a lot of fun. Look forward to it, and it is a big weekend for the Auburn family.
When do we get a 3-man front Sweet Frog Bowl named after us?
Yeah, we're waiting for that.
You got to come. You got to come in the store and try it first, man. I mean, I never even know that you're in town in Auburn. So, you guys come to Auburn, and we will definitely make that happen.
Okay,
done.
Yeah, don't have to ask us twice for that.
No, come down to God's country anytime.
Yeah,
anytime. You're more than welcome. We'll even get you one of the big, large blue bowls. How about that?
It sounds like a really big deal.
Yeah, that is a big deal.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal. 25 ounces.
Good night.
That will be fun. Well, Rob, happy Mother's Day to your wife.
Yep.
And
and to your daughter.
Yeah. And to,
Yes.
you got a brand new grandbaby celebrating the first Mother's Day. So that's fantastic. So,
yeah, no. Beautiful grandbaby, man. We got a lot to be thankful for. So I'm definitely grateful this Mother's Day.
no doubt.
Amen.
Rob, have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next Thursday.
All right, guys. War Eagle.
Thank you very much. Rob Pate joined us on the Higginbotham Hotline. We're still awaiting the new Pope to emerge from the Vatican balcony.
He's got a lot of stuff to put on.
Will Mel Kiper be mad at whoever is not selected? Trey Wallace Outkick is next. It is 12 noon. Hour number 3 begins here on Three Man Front, Jocks 94.5. Pat Landrum, Conrad Molly with you until 2 o'clock. Appreciate Rob Pate, Rodney Orr, Mitt Winter joining the program earlier. You can download the Three Man Front podcast. Coming up momentarily, Trey Wallace from Outkick. He will join us here on the program.
A lot of text rolling in, 205-834-9450. We will get to your text throughout the show. We got Trey Wallace going to join us momentarily. We want to tell you about Mandu. Mandu is electrical muscle stimulation fitness. It's located right in downtown Homewood. They're on the Strip, if you will, and Paul and his staff, they do a wonderful job. But if you don't know anything about Mandu, electrical muscle stimulation fitness, you go into the facility. It's a very nice facility. Your first visit is absolutely free, and they'll put you into a suit. They'll hook you up to a machine that sends electric pulses various parts of your body. It's a 15-minute workout. And because of that technology, 15 minutes at Mandu is the equivalent to 6 to 8 hours in a gym. You're going to get results. Everyone that has tried Mandu has gotten results. Get in for your free visit today. MANDUU.com. That's Mandu. And tell Paul and the gang that Landrum from Jocks 94.5 sent you.
Great friend of the program, Trey Wallace from Outkick, joins us now to talk all things craziness in the world of college sports. Man, Trey, it was just going to be a nice quiet spring. Then all of a sudden you got the House settlement. You got NIL continued issues.
Getting a new pope.
You got a new pope today. You've got Nick Saban being blessed now by Donald Trump. Man, this is a crazy spring so far.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of Alabama looking for a new head coach. It's like, what kind of white smoke is going to come from the barbecue restaurants down there on the Strip?
It's pretty sure we used that line during the Saban post-Saban search, didn't we?
Man, what would happen if Saban comes out on the balcony? That'd not be something.
He'd have a bigger job of fixing NIL right now in this country. I tell you that, with all the conversations going on. It is, man. There is no off season anymore. Like maybe there was, before the inception of NIL. But you going back to, man, you guys remember that day. I mean, Nick Saban was sitting in Birmingham, Alabama, and whatever, gives a speech, knocking Jimbo Fisher, and all of a sudden we're off to the races. And 5 years later, look where we're at. I mean, it's all wild to think that this is where we're at, especially, like 5 years ago, Tennessee was firing Jeremy Pruitt for the stuff that is now legal.
Yeah, for $60,000.
College
$60,000.
Right. And the biggest thing is, too, like the schools are the one writing the checks now, or going to be starting July 1st. It's like, wow, we were firing coaches over this years ago. Now it's all legal. It's wild.
All right, so let's start with the Nick Saban, this presidential commission in which Nick Saban is expected to be a co-chair in regards to this presidential commission. Also, Cody Campbell, a very famous name in the Texas part of the world, and his $4.1 billion sale of his company about a month or two ago. What do you, Trey Wallace, believes is going to come out of this commission, if anything?
I think the biggest thing is trying to push through maybe one or two of the bills that are, being lobbied right now by Ted Cruz or Cory Booker or you name it, Representative Jordan. I mean, I think that's what it is. Like they're going to try to put up, some type of legislation that'll get guardrails when it comes to players being able to file antitrust lawsuits, or, what does a school particularly owe, when it comes to players. And I mean that in the sense of what the salary cap is going to be. How do they rein in the House settlement whenever this goes down? Because even with the House settlement, guys, like, lawsuits aren't going away. Billable hours are always winning in this situation, and there's going to be more that comes out of this. And so with Nick Saban and Cody Campbell and what they're trying to do and what they're going to try to do is you got to put up some protection for these schools. And I think that what we have seen from leaders of the SEC, the ACC, the Big 12, you name it, coaches going to Capitol Hill. I mean, it's been 2 years of lobbying. And this is kind of what they were shooting for. And now all of a sudden with Donald Trump in office, there are folks within the college athletics community that has his ear. And you've seen how much he's been involved. And look, I'm not saying this is going to work, because they could put Nick Saban together and Cody Campbell, and, you put 6 or 7 more people on this committee, this commission, and they come up with a couple of duds, that ended up being fighted in a courtroom, and that's always the hard part. It's like, okay, you can make some executive order or whatnot, when it comes to trying to fix college athletics. Okay, well, I can promise you there are going to be 10 lawsuits filed the next day, because student athletes think that, maybe they're being prohibited from doing certain things or earning certain types of money. It's all fascinating. It's moving kind of quick, in my opinion, when it comes to this part of it, when it comes to the president getting involved and Nick Saban and Tommy Tuberville. And so now it's more or less, okay, what can we do to help the NCAA? And the problem is too, guys, the NCAA rolled out NIL, in 2021, and they pretty much said, okay, guys, you have at it. We're not going to put up, there's not going to be many guardrails. And they knew this was coming too. They knew it was coming years before. And so when NIL was first created, you could hide behind a certain, let's have a player do a commercial for a local Chevy dealership or a barbecue joint or whatnot, but it was always pay for play. And so, if they would admit that part, I think a lot of things would be better in college athletics, and now try to find a way where, the deals that are being put in place are actually for NIL and not for pay for play, because that's never going away. It's like the folks that bring up the arguments, oh my gosh, they're paying players. It's like, what do you guys think they were doing for the last 4 decades? Did you think they weren't $500 handshakes going on in the locker room, or all of a sudden a duffel bag appearing on the back door, of a house or a hotel parking lot meeting? Like, stop being oblivious to the fact that just because it's your favorite team, you don't think that they were paying these star athletes. I just, at the end of the day, guys, they got to find a way to put some boundaries around this, because it is getting out of control. And I think that, it's more or less Nick Saban has kind of been at the forefront of this since he got out of the sport, as a head coach. And now you want to put business people around him that know the financial part. And hopefully, guys, they put some athletes on this commission as well, because they deserve to have their voices heard too.
Hanging out with Trey Wallace, national college sports reporter, Outkick and Fox. He joins us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Something that we hear from coaches all the time is tampering, and how big of a problem it is, especially in season. If I put you in charge of whatever committee, whatever legislative body that was going to set rules and potential penalties for tampering with someone's roster, whenever it may be, what would be feasible and what would be a realistic penalty for Trey Wallace?
Yeah, I think there would have to be a potential 1-game suspension. I think that since we're getting into the financial terms of all of this with the House settlement, it's okay, what kind of fine is it going to be? And it's not a fine, that's $50,000 and it goes towards a charity, or like the opposing team, like, the SEC does when, people storm the field at opposing stadiums or whatnot. I think they have to set up something where, like in the case of, and I'll bring up Nico, EMI Lava, where, yes, there were schools that were reached out to by the family during the negotiating period, and also, as recently as a month and a half ago. And some schools took them up on that, but then some schools, like Oregon, decided to call Tennessee and say, hey, guys, just want to let you know your quarterback's being shopped around, and we received a phone call. Because the problem is, like, tampering, it's hard to put it like directly on the school, because what happens is you have so many outs, whether that be the high school coach, the 7-on-7 coach, the agent, being that third party and trying to find the best deal for their client. But I think if you have, a staff member, whether that be a recruiting staffer, an intern, a grad assistant, because I don't think assistant coaches are dumb enough right now in college athletics to be reaching out to players at other schools. This stuff is coming from lower tiers within the university, and they're using agents as third parties to it. But tampering does go on. Tampering happens all the time. That's why these kids know where they're going pretty much 5 or 6 days after they enter the portal. And if they could, they would come out the next day and say, hey, this is where I'm going, but it's all about optics. I just think you got to have some kind of penalty structure around this. I think it deserves it. If they can prove it, and you have text messages or phone logs or whatnot, then yeah, a game suspension, a large fine, $250K, something along those lines. But it has to come from the guy that controls everything. If your school is caught tampering and your, football program, a basketball program, a baseball program was a part of that, the head coach needs to be held accountable, just as the head coach is held accountable for recruiting violations, that an assistant coach does. It's lack of institutional control. So that's why they got to put it on the head coaches if they want to really make a statement. That's how you do it. I just feel like right now, tampering, man, you got to put the toothpaste back in the tube, and I don't know how you stop it.
Trey, I got to ask you, because Charles Barkley went on Outkick this morning, and he basically said that he is not going to waste his money on buying players, building a roster via NIL for either basketball or football, and deal with the idiots at the NCAA. Your thoughts on Charles Barkley's comments, and how many other people out there that have a big checkbook probably feel the same way Charles Barkley does?
Yeah, I mean, look, Charles Barkley, and I've spoken to him numerous times about this. He was on with Dan Dockich earlier today, and it was just brought up where NIL is at right now, where, you've got schools or collectives, I guess a better way to put it right now, that are going and saying, hey, look, we need $2 million, we need $3 million, we need 4, 6, 8 for some of these players. How much can you contribute? And Charles Barkley, I mean, I agree with his point. What does it do for you on a personal level besides give you the thrill if your team wins a championship? And here's the problem. Okay, what if you're eliminated in the Sweet 16? What if it goes to the Elite Eight and you don't make the Final Four? What if you get all the way to the Final Four, but you're not cutting down the nets? Where's the return on investment on that? Like, we saw this recently in the last 2 to 3 years with Jaden Rashada. Jaden Rashada was going to sign with Florida for a very large sum of money. Well, Hugh Hathcock, the booster, according to sources that I've spoken with, said at the last minute, wait a minute. What kind of return on investment am I getting here from paying this kid $13 million to come to Florida over a number of years? What is he going to do for me where I'm going to make money off this? And if he's not going to win us a national championship, which, guys, there's only one team at the end of the year that's going to hold up a trophy in any sport, what does that do for me personally? Charles Barkley said, look, I give to the community of Birmingham and Leeds, Alabama, and I have causes that I believe in. And even though he is a staunch supporter of Auburn, and every time you turn around, whether that's inside the NBA, whether that's Final Four coverage or NCAA tournament coverage, he's always talking about Auburn. And so that's such a good marketing tool for the school. But when Auburn comes to him and says, hey, Charles, can you give us $2 million? No, he's not going to do that, because there's nothing in it for him. There's no satisfaction for him. It doesn't fill his cup like it does giving to the, I think he was involved. I read about this, the blight community in the Birmingham area, trying to rebuild houses and communities for people that need it. And so I look at it from his standpoint, and this goes on, guys. It is really starting to ramp up over the last year or two, where boosters that have been involved in the past with NIL when it first started, maybe the first 3 years, where they're trying to put together rosters, and you got collectives coming to them for money, while at the same time you got a university saying, well, hey, you want to invest towards the stadium, or you want to make Jordan Hare better, or Bryant Denny. Like, they're having to make these decisions where, I'm really not getting anything out of this. Me paying $3 million, to go towards the quarterback coming on campus, and then we end up going 8-5 on the season. What does that do for me? Where is my return on investment? Okay, there's only so much that I could potentially write off, as a tax break. So at the end of the day, if you've got boosters that are sitting there with loads of money and they love their school, like, cool. Like, that's great. If you want to give to the school, and if you want to give to a football roster or a basketball roster, and you want to try to win the national championship, by God, do it. That's your money if you got it to spend. But some of these folks have realized that, it is just not worth it anymore, because I gain nothing from this. I might get a locker room tour. I might get a little bit of access. Okay, with that quarterback on the field that I'm paying $3 to $4 million for out of my own checkbook, my own account. Okay, well, he could be gone in 4 months. So I just wasted that money. And I think Charles Barkley put it best. It's like, why am I going to waste millions of dollars on a player that might only be here for 6 months or a semester? And I don't disagree with him in that sense. And that's where it's going to get very interesting when it comes to this House settlement, because you're going to have schools that have around 17 million, 16, 17 million to spend on football. But then you've got to figure out, more ways to raise money. And that means collectives aren't going away. I think with the clearinghouse and whatnot that's going to go on that has to approve these NIL deals that are over $600, guys, we're going to be going back. And a lot of people don't want to admit it and say it, but it's true. We're going to be going back to the old days where these players are making money behind the scenes. And because you're not going to be able to get certain deals past this clearinghouse that has to approve this stuff. So how are you going to pay these athletes the extra $1.5 million that they're owed in a contract? Well, it's going to be behind the scenes deals. It's going to be cash that's wired, stuff along those lines. So I agree with Charles Barkley. I think that the NCAA has screwed up a lot of things. They did it when they started this all. And at the end of the day, look, if Auburn or Alabama wants to reach out to an alumni and say, hey, man, you got a lot of money on you. You want to help us out? And they come back and say, well, what are you doing for me? And they can't give you a real answer besides, well, we're putting that 5-star quarterback on the field. Okay, well, what's it really going to do for me? And so now I sit here and I say, okay, good for you, Charles Barkley, because you're doing a very well job of marketing Auburn, but you're damn well not going to give up millions of dollars out of your own freaking account just to try to help them out. So it's a thin line that these schools and collectives are having to roll with right now.
Trey Wallace, Fox and Outkick, and as we've been having this conversation with you, news has broken. A new pope has been elected, and the new pope is Robert Francis Prevost from the United States of America.
Get out of here.
How about that?
Wow.
So it wasn't Nick Saban, but it was an American. How about that?
Wow.
It was an American.
An American.
I did not have my money on that. Not like I had my money on that, but I'm just saying that is very.
How about that?
I will be darned.
All the Italian
America
and Latin
wins.
I've been working on just for not.
Well, I mean, you know what this means now. It's like College Game Day has to go to the Vatican now and do something next year, before a game.
I hope he's a big college football fan.
Well, the first congratulatory call is going to come from Marcus Freeman from Notre Dame.
Yeah, that's going to come, and then wherever he might have helped out with the school in the past, I'm sure that alumni or that university is going to reach out for some money now. So this is going to be very interesting. NIL, the Vatican, the Pope. My goodness, we have covered everything today.
He is a Chicago native, so I'm guessing big Notre Dame fan.
Well, don't put it past Northwestern.
Well,
I'm
that's
just
true.
telling you, maybe he's got Northwestern ties and they can help out with all that funding that they're doing trying to build the stadium. So we learn different things every single day, and I just learned a pope from America is now in charge. Just wild.
Yeah, we've seen it all. Trey Wallace, National College Sports Reporter, Outkick and Fox at Trey Wallace _ there on X, Twitter, whatever you prefer. Trey, thank you. Thank you for all of the insight, and thanks for sharing this historic moment with us.
Guys, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. This is fantastic. Glad I got to experience it. Thanks for having me, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Hey, you too, Trey.
Thank you.
Always appreciate it. He joined us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services. You want to talk about an upset? Woo! We have got one at the Vatican. We'll get into that next on 3-Man Front. So a math major from Villanova University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, is the new leader of the 1.4 billion Catholics around the world. From the old United States of America. As he is making his way out onto the balcony. Needless to say, a bit of a surprise as I'm reading social media and reports from around the world. But the new pope is going to take the name Leo the 14th. That will be his name.
Okay. Leo, that's cool. Like a lion.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Said he was a math major?
He was a math major at Villanova.
Huh.
Good day for Villanova basketball.
Huge.
I wonder if he knew Howie Long when he played there.
Him and Jay Wright are good buddies.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
So the first American pope in the history of the Catholic Church.
It's pretty wild. I mean, I know we talked about it being a possibility, but
Robert Francis Prevost. He's going to go by Leo the 14th.
oh man, see, they're updating this, and this is wild. I went and looked at his Wikipedia page, and it's being updated in real time. Like when I clicked on it, it was his name, and now the page has already changed to Pope Leo the 14th.
69 years old, from Chicago, but he went to Villanova University.
That's right. He's only been a cardinal since 2023.
Wow.
So not a very long time.
I have confirmed that we will have someone joining our show. He actually listens to the station, and he has served a number of years there at the Vatican, but is also currently a professor of law at Notre Dame. And I'm sure that he can give us all we need to know on our
Okay, very cool.
on the newly elected Pope, Pope Leo. He looks good in his gear.
What were the odds about 30 minutes ago for him?
Ooh, I don't know.
I mean, he was up there, but he was not
But he
one
was
of the
not,
top three.
Because we knew it when we were looking at the screen that Pietro, when he came out to make the announcement, it would not be him because he was a designated guy. And if he was not going to be out there, then that meant that he was going to be the newly elected Pope.
So what is the okay? So this says here he was promoted to cardinal bishop back in February. That's a pretty big promotion, I would think. From that to 3 months later, you're now the Pope.
I am curious, and we can't have the audio up, if he is speaking in Italian or English.
I would think Italian, right?
I don't know.
I'll find out.
Big day for America. Victory Day.
That's right. Victory in Europe was celebrated 80 years ago. And now an American Pope.
That is crazy. And you said there was a, was it you that said there was an HBO series a couple years ago that essentially tackled this topic ahead of it now happening for real?
It was called Jude Law played in it. I think it was entitled Young Pope. Yes, The Young Pope. It was a drama series that aired on HBO, and it was 10 episodes. And it was in 2016.
And so Jude Law was a young American that became the Pope, I assume.
He was a young cardinal from New York. He becomes Pope of the Catholic Church when the leading contenders of the conclave failed to win the election, and they voted for him.
By the way, Pope Leo is addressing the crowd in Italian.
Italian, okay.
That's what I figured.
So
it was certainly not English.
I hope that guy's arms don't get tired holding that microphone the whole time.
He's been trained.
That'd be a tough job.
Yeah, he's been trained.
So the first ever American Pope greets the crowd there at Vatican City. This is Three Man Front on Jocks 94.5. We will continue the conversation. We'd love to hear from you on the text line, courtesy GMC 205-834-9450. We're wide open the rest of the way. We'd love to hear from you. 1-800-239-WJOX. It is 12:32 on a historic day around the world as an American Pope for the first time. Pope Leo XIV went to Villanova University. He is speaking to the crowd right now at St. Peter's Square in Italian. And we will have more on this coming up a little bit later in the program. If you missed any of our interviews from Mitt Winter, Rodney Orr, Rob Pate, Trey Wallace, who just wrapped up from Outkick just a few moments ago, you can download the Three Man Front podcast. And we're taking your text messages at 205-834-9450.
This one rolls in. It says, what would be the equivalent of this new pope being chosen in a March Madness upset? Would this be a 14 seed over a 3 seed?
You know, that's a pretty good comparison because Molly was pointing out to us that he was not even in the top 5 according to.
Yeah. So I have Parolin, your guy, and then Taggle, Zuppy, my guy Pizza Balla, Erdo, Turkson, and Sarah.
I think it's appropriate to say that this would be the equivalent of St. Peter's knocking off Kentucky 15-2.
Okay, so we're not going UMBC Virginia territory yet. This isn't a 16-1. 15-2 is fine. That's fair.
15-2.
Those are very rare.
And it's St. Peter's.
And it makes sense. And it's a blue blood getting knocked off, so that seems kind of fitting as well. So, okay, St. Peter's knocking off Kentucky.
Very good question that was submitted there. Have y'all explored the conspiracy theory about this being the last pope? Something about empty placards reserved for each pope in the Vatican, and there's only one left. No, I have not. I don't know anything about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't do those. Alan asked, have y'all ever seen Euro Trip movie? That's how I'm picturing them electing the new pope. I've not seen Euro Trip. Is anybody else?
I haven't.
This one, non-pope related. It's one thing to say college athletes should be paid more, but to say they're not already paid is inaccurate. A full scholarship with room, board, and stipend and more is valued at hundreds of thousands of dollars. Miles in Mississippi. Y'all are the best. We appreciate your phone call earlier, Miles. We appreciate you, man.
Donald Trump has just tweeted out to the new pope.
Was it USA? USA.
It's not another Photoshop picture, is it?
It is not. Okay. Congratulations to Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, who was just named Pope. It is such an honor to realize that he's the first American Pope. What excitement and what a great honor for our country. I look forward to meeting Pope Leo XIV. It will be a very meaningful moment.
Michael texts in and says, in 2000, I actually saw Pope John Paul II at Nativity Square in Bethlehem. The crowd chanted, John Paul II, we love you. John Paul II, we love you. It was definitely a cool moment. Thanks for sharing, Michael.
It's very cool.
If college football gets a salary cap, I expect ticket prices, tuition, merchandise, and TV deals to go down because they won't need all of that money.
You're going to be very disappointed.
Yeah. Jason says, I was hoping he'd come out sounding like Don Don. Hey, how are y'all doing? To start off his term as Pope.
That would have been something.
This is pretty amazing. And of course, I can't. AC's dad, who tweets into the show a good bit, he's at Roll Tide JT. He has just quote tweeted from prideofthetide.com. It's Alabama's football record by every pope.
Ooh.
Under Pope Francis, there were 148-20, Conrad.
It's pretty good.
Under Benedict, they were 83-22.
Still pretty good.
Pretty good.
John Paul II, 224-95-3. John Paul I, 2-1. Paul the Sixth, 141-29-3. I'm just looking down the list. Pius the 11th, they were 131-24-8.
So there was a pope that was the pope for like 3 weeks, and that was it?
For 3 years.
Yeah, but one of them, the record was 2-1.
Well, he must have been a
interim pope. I don't know how that works.
Who was that? John Paul I?
John Paul I. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The only losing record that Alabama football has had, according to this, under a pope, was Pope Leo the 13th.
Oh, no.
And this is Leo the 14th.
Oh, no.
They were 19, 20, and 2.
Oh.
Under Leo the 13th.
Uh-oh.
And this pope is now going under the name Leo the 14th.
So yesterday I was convinced Alabama was going to go 12-0. Now I'm sitting here like 6-6. Fingers crossed. Please just get to 500.
What a great tweet. We appreciate y'all sending that in.
Maybe it's because Leo is lion, which is close to a tiger, so it's a bad omen because it's maybe loosely related to Auburn and LSU.
Did you just go astrology?
Sure, yeah. I'm very impressive. Thank you, Landrum.
When was he born? September 14th?
I do not have that readily available.
Look at Alabama's all-time record on September 14th, Conrad. We'll be able to accurately predict their wins and losses. That might take some time. Keep the text rolling in, 205-834-9450. The phone lines are open, 800-239-WJOX. That's where we go now. Larry. Hello, Larry.
Hey, guys, I always enjoy the show. I just want to throw something at you fellas, and just with respect to Pat as well as you, Landrum, y'all remember this way back, but it doesn't really happen that much over the years. But y'all can remember years ago, way back, when a little fella from Southern Miss beat Alabama, Auburn, and Florida State in the same year. And remember that was Brett Favre.
Yep.
That was how many years ago? 20 years ago or longer?
I think it was like 1990.
Yeah, 90
Yeah, early
right.
90s. You're right. They beat Alabama, Auburn, and Florida State the same year. But the one thing that I want to ask you guys, and I get confused by it, but when young college athletes out of high school, when they sign, obviously, it's not that technically speaking in law, because they've opened up Pandora's box in the last 4 years with NIL and everything that's transpired with what's going on with college football. But now that President Trump, as well as Saban, they're going to formulate this committee or whatever, do you really believe that something – I mean, I don't understand, because I had a close friend of mine that wrestled in the early 80s at LSU when Title IX had the LSU as well as SEC wrestling was totally just – they quit. They gave up on it in reference to, obviously, the Title IX. But now with everything that's going on with NIL and the portal and what have you, I just don't understand how, with respect to Saban and a committee like this, these lawyers are eaten alive because of everything that's happened with, what basically, I think it all started with EA Sports, guys, if I'm not listening, reading over the years. It basically, transpired from that. But do you really believe anything, truthfully, to benefit college football in the future could happen from something like this? And I just wanted to throw it out on the table, guys. And
Thank you,
your
Larry.
opinions.
Thank you very much. In my personal opinion, no, I don't. I think that they will bring awareness to certain things that we talk about on a daily basis. But there has been so much minutia on Capitol Hill for many, many years about this topic, and they have not been able to move the ball, excuse the pun there, but they just have not moved the ball down the field. And I'm not sure that Nick Saban or Cody Campbell from Texas Tech, if they can, I hope they do, because I'm tired of the crap that we have to talk about that's not football on the field, but it's all the stuff that's going on in the courtrooms. But I'm sorry, I'm going to be cynical here, but I just don't think that a commission is going to do anything at all. It is going to have to literally take some type of earthquake moment in the sport to really change something. And I'm not sure this is it. Just my opinion.
We'll continue here on Three Man Front. Very special guest going to join us next regarding the newly elected American Pope, Father John Paul Kimes. Going to join us next. Three Man Front and Jocks 94.5. 1246, three-man front. Jocks 94.5. We'll get back to your text, your phone calls. That is the Notre Dame fight song, because our next guest, he is a native of right here in Birmingham, Alabama. Father John Paul Kimes, also associate professor of the practice of Notre Dame Law School. Also, he served 11 years as a canon lawyer at the Vatican's Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith. And he is just, he's actually a really big college football fan and grew up a huge Alabama football fan. I don't know how that goes in South Bend these days, Pat, but I can imagine that, you know, your allegiances, they die hard.
They have to be really excited about Notre Dame and their appearance in the college football playoff last year.
I would think so. Yeah, for sure. But Father Kimes going to be joining us here momentarily, and we'll get some instant reaction from Father John Paul Kimes as he joins us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Father Kimes, how are you today? A very a day of celebration, I can imagine, not only for you but so many.
It is, Landrum. It's a tremendous surprise. It's even more surprising that we now have the first American Pope. I don't know that anybody had that exactly picked correctly or was expecting it. I certainly wasn't expecting it, but Cardinal Prevost, now Pope Leo XIV, was born and raised in Chicago.
And it's wild to think about. Of course, us being, and we talk a lot of sports here on the show, we did have a listener that texted in and asked if this was March Madness as far as an upset, as far as odds or the likelihood of Pope Leo being named. What would that be a comparison? I brought up, and I thought it was appropriate, St. Peter's at a 15 seed, knocking off Kentucky, a 2 seed just a few years ago. Can you dumb it down for us a little bit? How big of an upset was this?
No, I think that's a really good analogy. I'd probably make it more of a maybe a 4, like a whether it be a 4-11 or a 4-12 seed than a 2 and 15, but it's pretty huge upset, pretty in the sporting world, in the sporting sense. Again, I apologize. I'm still very stunned, but I think the most important thing is that his first words as Pope were that he recited the first words that Jesus spoke after the resurrection, which was "Peace be with you," and that he sort of set forward his agenda already with those first words, that he wants to bring Christ's peace to the hearts of people across the world.
So I have to ask you this logistics question in regards to the choosing of his name. Take us down that road, how that happens. Is it predetermined, whoever is going to be named, or the person that is named, does he get to choose the name that he will go by as the Pope?
It's entirely a personal choice, and it's one of those things that you'd like to believe doesn't actually happen until after they're elected. You don't want to think that the Cardinals all go into the conclave thinking, well, if I get named, I'm going to pick this name or that name. So it's a very significant choice, again, a personal choice that has come to be in the past, let's say in the past 4 pontificates in particular, it's come to be a very important sign of a sort of agenda. So of course, remember that Pope Leo XIII was Pope in the late 1800s. He wrote the first encyclical about workers' rights, in particular about the care for workers during the Industrial Revolution. But at the same time was also concerned about early Marxist movements in the early 1900s. So the choice of Leo XIV is significant in that it speaks of peace, and it also speaks of a concern for the sort of the working man, if you will. But it's an entirely personal choice made presumptively in the moment. After the Cardinal's elected, he has a few minutes alone in what's called the Room of Tears. And of course, it's where he goes to pray and sort of prepare himself for this new job. And that's normally where the name is chosen, and then it's given to the Cardinal who first announced it.
Father John Paul Kimes joining us here on Three Man Front and Jocks 94.5. All of our guests join us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You served at the Vatican, and I gave your bio before you joined us here on the air for 11 years. Take us through the process, because I was asked, and I've watched several documentaries on this leading up to it, not only the conclave, but from the Swiss Guard and everything else. But there was all of this pageantry when the announcement was made, when the smoke came out, the white smoke did, and everybody seemed like they were ready to go. Or is it from the marching band to everyone? They're in full regalia. Are they just on standby and waiting for somebody to give them the call, and then they go out to the square?
Well, so when there's a conclave, so I can speak to you about the conclave that elected Pope Francis in 2013. So you know when the votes are. So the votes are twice in the morning and twice in the afternoon. And so it's usually about 10 o'clock in the morning, and then again around noon, and then at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then again around 6. So you know when the votes take place, and you know that if you don't see smoke at 10 o'clock in the morning, that means you're going to see smoke at 12, because they'll either elect a pope and have white smoke, or they won't have elected anyone and will have black smoke. So the same thing, again, everybody was out there around 4 o'clock Rome time this afternoon waiting for smoke. And of course, once they see that, then it's the case that just people from all across the city begin to move towards St. Peter's. You can hear the church bells ringing throughout the city, so you know that a new pope has been elected, even if you don't see the white smoke. So everyone is not only on standby, but they're sort of on standby at particular times during the day. So the fact that the square was quickly filled up and that everybody was there is no surprise at all.
So I know that we're going to find out a lot more about the new pope, obviously his upbringing in the United States. I know you said he was from Chicago. I believe he went to Villanova University in Philadelphia. He was a math major. Anything else that you could tell us, like if he's a Cubs fan, a White Sox fan, a Bears fan, Notre Dame Fighting Irish? What's the deal?
Yeah, the early report is that he's a Cubs fan.
No,
I have it on reliable sources from Villanova that Cardinal Mal Pope Leo XIV grew up a Cubs fan.
So he's a Cubs fan, and he was allowed to be a Cardinal.
Pat's a big Cardinals fan. You know that, Father Combs.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
You know it didn't happen in the U.S. That's why he spent most of his priesthood down in Latin America, because they couldn't have a Cubs fan be a Cardinal.
Yeah, man. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's tough. How many, if without getting too personal, on a professional level, how much time have you been able to spend, if any, with our newly elected Pope?
So none, to be perfectly honest. So I knew him when he was in Rome as the head of the Augustinian order, but I never interacted with him in a professional way. So I only know of him mostly from former students of his as well, and from other priests in the Augustinian order.
Did you ever, in your wildest imagination, think that we would have an American Pope in your lifetime?
Never. I would have lost so much money had I put a bet on this papal election or any other, because I never would have bet on an American.
Oh, wow. Well, we did pull up something from a historical basis. It was Alabama's football record. I know you grew up a huge Alabama football fan, but apparently under Pope Leo the 13th.
The 13th that you were just referring to, Father, just a couple minutes ago.
Sure.
That's the only.
Now I'm afraid.
That's the only Pope in history that Alabama football has had a losing record. How about that?
Well, we've got to change that. 14 is going to bring more luck than 13 is an unlucky number to begin with, so we'll blame that.
Oh, well,
I know we'll have to check with Conrad what the count of national championships is up to now. I don't know if it's 13 or 17 or what the number is, but hopefully Leo the 14th will bring a few more.
So how does the rest of your day look? Or is there a election party? What are we doing, Father Combs?
Well, unfortunately, I've been sitting at my desk all morning working and trying to respond to different text messages, which you can imagine are flooding in. So I still have to go grab lunch. Okay. So it may be the case that there's an adult beverage with lunch today. Since I don't get Taco Tuesdays with you guys, unfortunately.
Well, you have to do that. You have to come and join us at Social Taco when you're in town and you're visiting the family. And by the way, your father bowled great the other night. So. Just gonna let you know.
Good. Well, I'm sure it was he was stealing moves from you, Landon. I'm sure that's what was going on.
No, we support each other. We hold each other up. It is Father John Paul Kimes. So kind to join us, Father Kimes. Thanks for doing this, and we appreciate you.
Thank you guys so much. Thanks for all you do for Birmingham.
Hey, thank you. Father John Paul Kimes. He is a good man. He's a great man. He comes from a great family. Joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline, you deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services. We turn the page to hour number 4, the 1 o'clock hour. Pat ponders a lot of your phone calls and texts still rolling in here on Three Man Front. Jocks 94.5, JocksFM.com, the Jocks 94.5 app. Wherever you're streaming, if you're watching us on Jocks TV, they're via YouTube, maybe in North Alabama or the capital city of Montgomery. We're glad you're with us wherever you are. Hour left to go here on this beautiful Thursday. We have a new pope. And breaking news, it's an American. More Three Man Front.
You know, the one thing you got to love about social media is when there's big world events like this, the comedy that you can get from being on Twitter is just phenomenal.
And it's free.
It is free. You should be following Three Man Front and each and every one of us on Twitter. But the one that you just sent me a moment ago about the city of Chicago, that's a good, clean. That is good.
Yeah, there's a lot of good, clean fun out there. There's also maybe a little too far sometimes. It can still be a little humorous.
Chicago got a pope before it got a quarterback to throw for 4,000 yards in a season.
A lot of
That is good.
A lot of people must be listening to the show. I've seen a lot of those Mel Kiper and Shadur Sanders jokes crop up.
You didn't laugh at my Mel Kiper joke earlier. Landrum did. I appreciate Landrum doing that.
The delivery I've seen on social media was just way better. So.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I'm just kidding, Pat.
Wow.
Oh, wow. This text rolls in. 267 popes in the past 2,000 years, and not one has seen Tennessee in the Final Four.
See, it's another good one. Now, what's the one that someone tweeted it to John Rothstein from CBS Sports?
Yeah, someone asked John Rothstein, what do you think of the new Pope? And he said, yeah, I thought Kentucky had a really strong first year under Mark Pope this year. The Diabate acquisition was underrated.
That's good.
That's really good. That's good. The text line is open, 205-834-9450, 1-800-239-WJOX.
Oh, so many texts. The Dutchman says, y'all just made my day with a Notre Dame fight song. Thank you, my friends. Fun fact, the Notre Dame fight song is also the Andalusia high school fight song. Mike in Andalusia. If he's there in Andalusia, I'm taking his word for it.
Yeah, you drive through it I just drove through Andalusia on the way to Destin.
Wow, the tweet about Bama's record under different popes is scary. Watch out for the Bama fanatics. We may have another Harvey Updike situation. Let's hope not.
Yeah, let's hope not. You hear it first on Paul's show, though, if that's the case.
Those trees never hurt anybody. Conrad's feelings.
Well, a lot of things hurt my feelings, Landon.
Let's
be honest.
You're sensitive.
Very sensitive.
But you're our sensitive, Conrad.
I just saw one of the main guys from the University of Texas. He's a big Texas Longhorns fan.
Is he excited?
He just basically went the same route as that texter did. He says there have been 267 different popes throughout history. Pope Pius XII was the only one to witness a Texas A&M football national championship.
There we go.
I got to tie it into sports.
Hey, Father Kimes, he appreciates it. He's a sports fan. Grew up a big Alabama fan.
He loved the analogy about the NCAA tournament.
Absolutely. He was going more 13-4 or maybe 12-5.
Yeah.
But the most important thing that I'm going to tell each and every single one of you and everybody listening to the sound of my voice right now, this is the most important thing.
God loves you.
Well, besides that.
Okay.
Nick Castellanos does not play tonight.
Oh, that's a good pull right there.
That is a really good point.
That's nice. That's nice. You get 2 points today.
See?
Yep. That's very good.
Thank you.
Nah, I'm not going to read that one. It's not bad. It just doesn't tie in. Tay says, go Cubs. Been a fan since the WGN Superstation days. In case you're just joining us, new Pope is a Cubs fan.
Hey, by the way, turn the music down a little bit. I'm going to play something for Landrum. Landrum's clapped for me twice today. So I'm going to give something to him in return. Okay?
Pope is already unifying people.
I know. The love that we're experiencing here on Three Man Front.
A lot of love.
Landrum, I'm going to take you back on this date.
Okay.
1986.
This isn't a trick, right?
No, it's not a trick.
Okay.
No, it's not a trick. Why would I do that to you?
This is genuinely a kind-hearted thing that Pat wanted to do for you.
Not because of you. I just thank you, Pat.
I want to take you back on this date, 1986, Riverfront Stadium. This is the way it sounded on Superstation WTBS.
Horner's on deck. Atlanta right away with a chance to score. Along the line and right, this ball is going to be out of here, home run. Dale Murphy going the other way has just made it 3-0 on his 6th home run, hit it to right field.
What a great way to begin a game for the Braves. A 3-run home run by Murphy goes the opposite way, as he does so often, and hits a long, high fly ball down the right field line that goes over the 2 fences and into the seats. And the Braves have 3 in the bank.
Now Bob Horner. Horner fouls the pitch away. A win here today would give the Braves a good road trip, 4-2. Anytime you play 500, It's considered a good road trip. That's drilled to left center field, back toward that wall. Out of here, Bob Horner. Back-to-back home runs. And we'll dig out a stat on that. The Braves record when Murphy and Horner homer is incredible. Fans unhappy at 4-0.
Oh, the great 1-2 punch manifests itself right away as Horner drives it to deep left center field. And back of Murph's 3-run home run, the Braves lead it 4-0.
How about that? John Sterling.
Nice.
Doing the color analyst. By the way, I looked it up. 22-6. That was the Braves' record when both Murphy and Horner homered in the same game. So
Wow.
Ernie Johnson Sr. was right on that stat.
Yeah, he was.
How about that? Riverfront Stadium. And isn't it cool? The Reds and the Braves are playing tonight in Atlanta.
Yep.
And in 1986, on this date, those two teams played at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio.
That's awesome. Yeah, the Braves won that game
So
against
see,
the Reds back then.
to take you back there, the good old Superstation WTBS days.
Those are the good old days. You get the Sanford and Son during the rain delay.
Mm-hmm.
If it went really long, they ran out of Sanford and Son. You might get a little happy days.
They're just pulling stuff left and right.
Yep.
Hey, what you got down the hallway? You got Andy. You got Andy. What do you got?
Yep. What you got? No, that was, and I had no idea. I thought that the color analyst, I could not put my finger on it, but I never would have guessed that was John Sterling.
John Sterling, absolutely, man. John Sterling used to do all the Atlanta Hawks games.
Yeah.
Back in the day, and then he would come over and do the Braves, and then unfortunately he went to the dark side, went to the New York Yankees.
Don't they all? They paid him a big old boatload of money and then gave him a cheap TV for his retirement.
Gave him a 18-inch television.
Or his, to be honored, 18-inch. And it was one of those off-brands like Astar. Sorry if you work for them.
I didn't even know that's a real company.
Yeah, I don't know if it's very similar, but given some trade agreements that could be in the works, we might not be getting any more of those.
yeah, those tariffs might have caused them to maybe they're still in a loader offshore of Long Beach, California right now. Not really sure.
Sitting in yeah.
But tonight, 6:00, the Braves and the Reds right here on Jocks 94.5 as Nick Lodolo, 3.27 ERA, takes on Schwelle.
We do, I don't know if you want to go there or not, but he wants to comment. He's a big Cubs fan. He's very excited about the new announcement.
Oh, sure.
Hey, Don.
What's up, guys?
How are you?
I heard that guy say that a minute ago, and I just had to go there, Landrum. But yeah, how about the new Cardinal being a Cubs fan? How about that, Pat?
Well, he's new Pope.
Well, I mean, he's from Chicago, and he was from the south side of Chicago. And if you had your choice of being a Cubs or a White Sox fan, I guess he chose the former instead of the latter.
Yeah, and he's a Notre Dame fan too. But yeah, me and all a couple of people from our social Chaco family were at the sister restaurant, the Ridge, having lunch together. Me and PG and Constance and a couple other people.
Nice,
very nice.
Everything, but hey, got a question about the NIL deal with Saban, guys. What I mean, I know y'all been talking about it and everything, but do you think there's anything at all that they could possibly do to change anything?
No.
I don't either. Everything. And I mean, Auburn's got like a $21 million budget, Pat, like you said about a month ago, and everything. You think they'll go to having a salary cap?
Ultimately, that is the road. If you missed our interview with Mitt Winter, who is an NIL expert, he's an outstanding attorney that does this for a living every single day. He told us that ultimately there will be some form of collective bargaining. But that collective bargaining probably will not be between the school and the player. It would be between the player and a larger entity, i.e., let's say that the SEC and the Big Ten and the other Power Four schools come up with, it's not an NCAA, but it's just whatever you want to call it. That organization would potentially negotiate deals and contracts with the players.
Yeah, well, do you guys see this going to a super conference of about 30 to 40 teams, like the Big Four conferences all merging in together and having their one division?
Yes. In some way, shape, or form, yes. There will be separation.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah, in Landrum, buddy, that's going to hurt UAB and Stanford.
I don't know. Everybody just immediately thinks that it will, but what if it benefits those schools that are not a part of the Power Four? If you create another...
they could get their own TV contract and have their own playoffs and everything. So, yeah, good point. Good point there.
Yep.
Good point. But, hey, Pat, before I go, one question. We'll talk about it next Tuesday. Did you get my text this morning?
Yes, about the odds. I did.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll talk about that Tuesday because I was actually on there yesterday. He had Roman Harper on there yesterday. Roman did a great job. And when we do the event that we're talking about, Roman definitely wants us to let him know because he wants to come.
All right, sounds good. Absolutely. Yeah, and Roman played for our good friend Coach Bill Clark down at Prattville High School.
Sure did.
Yeah, Prattville. That's right.
Yep.
That's right. He had a great comment. He said him and his dad went on their visit to Tuscaloosa, many years ago and everything. And his dad, when they're driving back from Tuscaloosa to Prattville, goes, "Son, I believe we found our school to go to."
Yep, no doubt.
But Roman did a great job yesterday. Even got along with Jim, Pat.
Interesting.
Yeah. And everything, but anyway, my friend, we'll talk about that next Tuesday and go ahead and start planning what we're talking about, my friend. And hey, thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Don. Thanks for the call, Don. 1-800-239-WJOX. The one thing that I have been consistent on this show, and I catch a lot of grief because I have a lot of really good coaching friends, a lot, and they take umbrage to what I say about coaches.
Yep. Well, about them being all liars.
Yes.
And I have to defend myself because they're like, they want to put that on me. I'm like, no, that's Pat's thing.
They can't handle the truth.
Apparently not.
Are they lying to themselves? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. That's the worst kind of lying.
I want to take you to Athens, Georgia. We don't have evidence yet that this is a lie, but I just want to put it out there just so that our listeners will remember this. If this comes to fruition, this is Wes Johnson, the current head baseball coach at the University of Georgia.
Guys, I love Georgia. I have no plans to venture to start. I don't want to get, my kids love to tell me I'm a nerd, but as far as the actual ballpark, I love where we're at. Everybody, it's our league, right? You can go, oh man, we need a bigger scoreboard, or maybe we need to find a way to put some. That's not where my mind goes. I go to, okay, we need to get our hitting mocap in, stuff like that. Really happy with what we have here. Couldn't ask for more. So.
What he said at the very beginning, I know it was difficult. It was the interview was being held. He was having a scrum interview with a bunch of reporters I think it was in the dugout there at their stadium. And he said that he is not going to Starkville because he is one of the hot names potentially to take over at Mississippi State University. So now I have audio evidence of him proclaiming that he is not going to Starkville, Mississippi. So we'll see if that indeed does not become a lie.
No, they just need a donation for a nice indoor baseball facility like the football one they got yesterday, and then maybe that conversation gets more interesting.
Is Vanderbilt head coach Tim Corbin, is that still a dark horse candidate being considered for this job?
There are names littered around the SEC for that job.
Yeah.
And I really honestly can't tell you, based on the people that I follow in Starkville and Mississippi State, they don't know either. Like this is all over the place, all over the board in regards to who potentially could end up with that job.
So do you view that as a better job than the Vanderbilt job overall?
Mississippi State?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I think the
Vanderbilt job's good.
I think Mississippi State baseball is the best job on that campus.
I would absolutely agree with that.
But I also think that there is more potential when it comes to facilities and other things that you would have at your disposal at Mississippi State because of their love for baseball. Not saying that Vanderbilt doesn't love their baseball,
but you don't have the academic hurdles either.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think priorities are way up there when it comes to Mississippi State baseball. I know they are.
I agree. No, I agree with that.
But I'm glad that you pointed that out because if he goes back on his word,
Pat's going to have a field day.
We're going to have a Wes Johnson roast for 4 hours.
We'll have Mike Griffith on the whole show.
When we come back on Three Man Front, we'll do some Pat Ponders brought to you by Courtesy GMC. This is Jocks 94.5. We were just talking about Mississippi State baseball. Yesterday it was news coming out of Starkville in regards to their brand new indoor practice facility. Very impressive facility that they're going to be breaking ground on pretty soon. And just announced a few moments ago that if you have plans on Black Friday at 11 a.m., the battle for the golden egg between the Ole Miss Rebels and the Mississippi State Bulldogs will be conducted at 11 a.m.
Yes.
on Friday morning, the day after Thanksgiving.
So we get 3 hours of either really happy Pat or really sad Pat. I can't wait.
Now, it'll be an easy win for the Rebels. What are you talking about? It's not even going to be close.
It shouldn't be.
Yeah. But how about that?
I'm in favor of that. I like that. Get an early morning start on your Black Friday.
I preferred it on Thanksgiving night, but because the NFL has now, taken over, Thanksgiving and Christmas Day, now college football's got nowhere to play.
This just in on the text line from Alan. 267 popes and none have seen Conrad change a tire.
Well, maybe this will change.
This is true.
This will change.
Hey, I'll make a deal with Pope Leo right now. If he can guarantee a winning record for Alabama football during his tenure, I will learn how to change.
Wait a second. You're just asking for a winning record.
Yeah.
Okay.
See how much it's already been dummied down?
Let's say
changed in an hour and a half.
700 winning percentage during his tenure. That seems about par for the course.
What happened to like 83 or 84% like Nick Saban had?
I'm trying to make it's a negotiation, Pat. Can't start at the, got to meet in the middle somewhere.
Okay. All right, let's do some Pat Ponders brought to you each and every day by Courtesy GMC. Brought to you by Courtesy GMC in Trussville, right off of exit 32, I-459 on Edwards Lake Road, right next to Lowe's. You can't miss them. Go by and see their outstanding inventory on pre-owned vehicles, along with those brand new GMCs. Visit them online at courtesybirmingham.com. Question number 1. The Los Angeles Rams have announced a partnership with Hawaii Tourism Authority to promote tourism in Maui. The Rams also announced their June minicamp will be held in Maui. So Los Angeles will now train 4 days on the islands. So this had me pondering, what if to increase interest in spring college football, should Alabama and Auburn put their camps on the road during spring practice? If so, where?
I like the idea.
Just in the spring.
Yeah.
So, but we're opening up practice.
Yes.
It's got to be a destination type place.
See, I'm trying to think. I'm just like, I don't know what kind of facility you would have close to the Gulf Shore or Gulf of America.
Thank you.
To where you could have something like that. Because that's an event where people would say, oh, okay, I'll take a week off. I'll go to the beach and I'll go watch Alabama or Auburn football practice. Like, I think that would be something that people would be all over.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know where that facility would be down
there. Well, I think it's pretty easy. You do it at Orange Beach High School. They got a nice facility. I know that they've, in Gulf Shores.
Let's say Orange Beach, because then people can make a vacation out of it too.
Seems to make
and
a lot
that would
of
be
sense.
for Alabama or Auburn.
Either one, yeah.
Yeah, and if we had to go out of that, maybe New Orleans, you could take the train over there, something like that. Now, granted, I don't know how that would work with.
Landrum doesn't like that idea.
I think you'd have to keep it in state.
I want to limit my guys, especially in spring. We're doing installs. I want to limit how much exposure they get to New Orleans.
No, I mean, yes, that would be my concern as well.
New Orleans is your reward.
Your reward?
After you've won a lot of games.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Not that it wouldn't be rewarding to go down and train on the shores
I know what you're
of
saying.
the Gulf of America.
Just maybe a little less party opportunities there.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a little easier to stay focused.
All right, question number 2. Name an athlete besides Bill Buckner who is primarily remembered for one unforgettable moment.
Like in a negative way?
Yes.
Chris Webber, timeout.
It's a good one.
Mark Sanchez butt fumble. Ooh. I don't know if this is still his name, Meta World Peace, the Malice in the Palace.
That's a good one.
Leon Lett getting chased down by Don Beebe.
Yep, knocking the ball out. Leon Lett had a couple of them.
Yeah.
Remember the snow game on Thanksgiving Day against the Dolphins? When it was blocked and he decided he was going to try to pick it up.
Yeah.
Not an athlete, but Scott Frost for the onside kick in Ireland. For me, at least.
I trust you on that. I don't remember the
We'll
game.
never forget that.
I was about to say not a player, but obviously Steve Bartman would be up there.
C2 immediately came to my mind when I was writing this question.
Okay.
1, Adam Griffith on the kick six.
Yeah, that's a good one.
If he would have shanked it or hit it into the line, kick six would never happen.
Correct.
And the other one, Elijah Moore from Ole Miss.
I was going to say the peeing
good.
on the hydrant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because not only did that cost the Rebels the Egg Bowl, but it also started a downward spiral domino effect that caused people to lose their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, if you don't remember what I'm talking about, go and look and see what happened after Elijah Moore did what he did during the Egg Bowl.
Yeah, this would be because this would go back to the conversation me and Damon were having on Morning Jogs about Florida. But a lot of people brought up Marco Wilson, who was the guy that threw the shoe in the LSU game a couple of years ago. And I don't hear people ever bring him up for anything outside of costing them that game because he threw his shoe.
You could go the Missouri player in the game versus Auburn.
Yes.
In the Harsin days.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is I can't remember who the Missouri player was. And that's probably good for him.
And I hate to pick on you, Conrad, but Mark Ingram fumbling out of the back of the end zone in the Iron Bowl against Auburn.
That's a very good one.
If he had not done that,
I know.
That would have been another 7 points that Auburn was going to have to overcome.
I know.
And it would have stopped Auburn from winning a national championship.
Thankfully, he won a Heisman Trophy and a national championship the year before, so people remember that, thankfully.
He did? Because that goof just overshadowed everything else in his career.
That did it? That's all you ever think of with Mark Ingram?
Yeah, there's a Daniel Moore print of that.
That's
him fumbling out of the back of the end zone.
What about the but I don't know his name, the Michigan punter when they had the mess up in Michigan State at the very end of the game and ran it back and won on the muffed punt? I'm sure Michigan fans, that would be top of mind for them.
So Frost did an onside kick.
Sure did.
What time of the game was it?
Opening kickoff.
No. Maybe third?
I'm happy for Justin Fields that he's turned out to have a pretty good career, but if he hadn't, the fake punt that Georgia and Kirby Smart pulled with Justin Fields in that game, that was on
Kirby though.
It is. Yeah. It was just that was the lasting memory of your 5-star quarterback in his time at Georgia.
Third quarter.
We're getting some Jose Canseco.
Up by 11.
The bouncing off of his head. That was at Cleveland Municipal Stadium. He was playing outfield for the Rangers, and it hit off his head.
That's a good one.
Over the fence for a home run.
Truly boneheaded.
Yes, very much so.
Did you ever follow him on Twitter? Every now and then, he's an interesting follow.
All right, I got time for one more because we're short on time. And we're going to do BB's question.
Okay.
This is from BB. You've been asked to be the best man. Sorry.
What? The best maid.
The best man or maid of honor.
That sounds intriguing.
At one of your best friend's wedding. Everything is going great until the rehearsal dinner when you get into a knockdown, drag-out fight with the groom or bride and you immediately exit the venue. So the next day is wedding day. Mm-hmm. So what do? Here's the options. Show up with a big smile and gracious attitude as if nothing ever happened. Call your friend before the wedding and ask for a private meeting to clear the air before the ceremony. Or 3, follow through with your responsibility but avoid any contact with your friend. What do you do, Molly?
For me, option 2. Personally, because, I'm saying this not like this happened at the wedding that I was just in, but I know it has happened. But, sometimes weddings can bring out the worst in some people. And in this situation, it sounds like it would be like that. And so I'd want to, especially if it's my friend, clear the air because this is a big day for them, a day that they'll always remember. Do what I can to kind of make light of the situation. That's just me.
I go through with it. And then when The pastor asked for objections. I object.
So, yeah, I got a big one.
Yeah.
This is really awful for me to probably say this, but I've always wanted to be at a wedding where that happened. Like, not somebody I'm super close with.
But someone to
Drama.
like maybe one of Paige's friends or something, so I'm not super close to the situation, but just the drama of it all and seeing that unfold.
It was not an objection, but I do know, and this happened here locally, and I know someone who was at the wedding. It was very awkward. They were just there in attendance, but the father of the bride asked the groom they were at the church prior to come back into one of the private church rooms and had attorney, whatever, and wanted a prenup signed.
On the day of the wedding?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yep, sprung that on him. And groom decided, nope, not going to do it. You're not forcing me to sign this. And so someone had to go out and tell all the attendees that there would be no wedding that day.
Wow. Unbelievable.
That's awful.
That is today's Pat Ponder, is brought to you by Courtesy GMC in Trussville. Visit them online at courtesybirmingham.com. More three-man front on this Thursday, historic Thursday, on Jobs 94.5. 135, Jocks 94.5. The rest of the way, we're wide open, taking your phone calls. 1-800-239-WJOX. Courtesy GMC text line 205-834-9450.
Well, Mother's Day is this Sunday, so you need to get into Diamonds Direct right now. You can celebrate her love, strength, and beauty with a lasting piece she'll cherish for a lifetime, or she might even pass it down to your children. Did you know that Diamonds Direct can also help you create the perfect personalized gift for your mom? They're true experts, whether it's meaningful birthstone jewelry, symbolic pieces, or custom designs for as one-of-a-kind as she is. Plus, if you book an appointment, you get $100 off your purchase. Only Diamonds Direct can pack this much value into a gift for the woman who deserves it all. So like I said, shop this Mother's Day at Diamonds Direct.
So this week, back in 1995, obviously Langer would remember this probably. Matter of fact, it was yesterday, the anniversary. This took place in 1995. Michael Jordan stepped onto the hardwood in the playoffs against the Magic in the now iconic Air Jordan 11 Concords. You remember those?
Yeah.
That was a good-looking shoe. I never owned them.
No, I didn't either.
That was a great shoe. The silhouette of Jumpman shined bright with the patent leather atop the translucent sole and featured MJ's number 45 on the heel of the shoe. Do you remember what these look like, Conrad?
Not these specific ones, but I'm about to look them up.
The Air Jordan 11 Concords. And so with yesterday being the anniversary, that's them.
Yeah.
Good shoe.
It was a pretty shoe.
That was a really good looking shoe.
Oh, yeah, those are really nice.
Yep. So it kind of had me going down a rabbit hole about Michael Jordan. And first off, if you have not seen Air on Amazon, I strongly recommend it. It is outstanding. It details the behind the scenes of signing Michael Jordan to Nike and the development of the first Air Jordan. So it's a great show if you want to watch it. But back in 1984, NBA draft signing Michael Jordan was paid $555,000 by the Bulls in his rookie season. $555,000. He also signed a Nike deal with royalties. If you see Air, it will detail those royalties, which pushed his figure in that year one higher than his actual salary with the Bulls. So Nike was paying him more than what the NBA was. So just 9 years later, in 1993, Jordan was paid $4 million by the Bulls in 1993. Then he abruptly retired from the NBA, as we all know, and then he ended up coming to Birmingham and playing for the Birmingham Barons. Flash forward 3 decades later, Jordan earned an estimated $300 million last year because of his royalties with Nike. Without stepping 1 foot on a basketball court, he made $300 million last year.
One of the reasons he's the GOAT.
For every Jordan shoe that Nike sells, MJ gets a cut.
Yep.
Last year, Nike had Air Jordan revenue at $7 billion. Sports Business Insiders say Jordan's deal is 4% per item sold with a Nike, with his logo on a Nike brand, whether it's apparel, shoes, whatever the case may be. He gets 4% of everything that is sold from Nike.
While we're on this, one of my favorite stats that Pat has ever sent me. Michael Jordan went 25-1 last 26 playoff series of his career. LeBron 2-4 the past 5 years and also missed the playoffs once.
He's 40.
Wait, what was that again, Langer? One more time?
Michael Jordan was feeding his kids baby formula at
Michael
this age.
Jordan
he
was
wasn't
what?
playing basketball anymore.
Michael Jordan went 25-1 in the last 26 playoff series of his career.
The last 26.
Correct.
Not the first 26, but the last 26. Now, and what was LeBron again?
2-4.
Oh.
Who played in the
I just
NBA
stopped
Finals
there.
for 10 straight seasons? The NBA Finals every year for a decade.
By the way,
Did
that
Michael Jordan
probably
do
needs
that?
to be updated because I sent that to you before the Lakers, I think, got eliminated. Or was that right after
I
they
think it was
got
right after.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It was. Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Just in case for those that think that LeBron James is a better basketball player than Michael Jordan.
It's silly. I just wanted to add that we were going down memory lane. That'd be good.
Think about that deal, though, man.
Yeah.
The deal that was cut, 4%.
It's remarkable.
Yeah.
I mean, he has the most famous shoe in the world.
300 million last year.
And after watching the movie Air, I give so much credit to his parents.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his
for
mom
being
was
smart business people.
Yeah, his mom was.
And they set that thing up where it was.
And how close was he? He was about to be Adidas.
Yep. That's a really good movie.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I'll be honest with you. Ben Affleck as Phil Knight. I would have cast somebody else for that role.
He looks so weird.
Wearing the jumpsuit?
Yeah.
Or wearing the tracksuit, I mean?
His shoulders are out here, and then, I don't know. It's just, yeah. I wonder if Phil Knight was flattered.
I've interviewed Sonny Vaccaro numerous times.
Yeah.
Great guy. Great guy. Who that was played by Matt Damon.
Yeah, Matt Damon. How many LBs did he have to? He had to stop at the gym for a while, play that role.
Yeah.
Because he had totally let himself go.
Yeah, he sure did. Well, one thing's for sure, you do not need to let your roof go, because if you do, you're going to run into problems. So that's why I'm telling you that you need to call for a free roof inspection. And the company that is going to provide that to you is Abide Roofing at abideroof.com. Call Travis Lloyd at 205-922-7134. There's no strings attached. There's no pressure. They just want to give you an honest look at what's going on up there and give you your options. And trust me, folks, I'm speaking from experience. I had to get a brand new roof put on my roof just a few years back. And because of the Abide Roofing team, they were able to get me that new roof because they dealt with my insurance company and they were being difficult. I'm talking about the insurance company, not Abide Roofing, but Travis Lloyd was right there during the whole entire situation, step by step. I 100% trust these guys. They're licensed, bonded, insured. They're the real deal. Be proactive. Call Abide Roofing today. The number 205-922-7134 or go to their website, abideroof.com.
So many texts to choose from. We will choose some of those texts next on Three Man Front. 147, 3-man front. It's been an action-packed show. We were live on the air when the newest Pope was elected and announced, and the first American Pope, Pope Leo, originally from Chicago, attended Villanova, and to Pat's chagrin, is a big Cubs fan. Let it go, Pat. Just let it go. But he was a Cardinal for years.
Yes, he was.
You got that.
He was a Cardinal until about 2 hours ago.
Yeah, we have a text line, and a lot of our listeners choose to text, and we love when you do, and we try to read them on the air. The ones that we can read, we read them all off the air. 205-834-9450. I take you all there now. Going back to Jordan and how much money he makes off of royalties through the Jordan brand and Nike. This one coming in, Conrad Van Halen. Oh, from Van Chaos to Van Halen. Like it. CVH says, if my math is correct, Nike sold $280 million of Jordan items.
Based on that math, yeah, seems right.
Going back to Mississippi State, looking for a baseball coach. Drake says, I love my Gators. I wouldn't be surprised if the baseball coach would be the next baseball coach to be let go. Talking about Florida's baseball coach.
I just don't know enough about Florida baseball, but with some of these that have really taken a fall, is it strictly because of probably NIL and transfer portal stuff?
Like why the program's not where it used to be?
Mm-hmm.
Possible, yeah.
Brandon asked, do y'all remember when Nick Anderson stripped MJ in that playoff game and said 45 ain't 23? Jordan came back the next game wearing 23 and dropped 45 points. Literally let his game do the talking. Coldest response ever.
It's interesting when I was looking at that, in which the shoe made its debut, it was against the Orlando Magic, and the Magic beat the Bulls in that game, and Jordan had 19 points. That was it.
Allen says, biggest boneheaded call, only rushing 2 against Alabama, now known as 4th and 31.
Yeah, that would be another one.
Poor, who was it, DJ James back there in the end zone? Poor guy.
Cody says, smart move for Vatican City to choose an American pope to avoid those tariffs.
Do we get a lot from Vatican City?
I don't know. Holy water.
They have a lot of really nice gift shops around there.
Incense. That's what we do. Mario Cristobal had the game won against Georgia Tech, but they ran the ball, fumbled. Georgia Tech ends up scoring and winning.
That is another really good one.
That is a good one.
That was so funny.
Only Pat could come up with Mark Ingram and not Ed Sissom in that situation. Wasn't Ed's fault either. Totally on Dubose and one Bruce Arians.
Yeah, 1997 Iron Bowl. Dubose claimed he didn't know what the play call was. The offensive coordinator was Bruce Arians. They called a screen pass to Ed Sissom, who fumbled the ball. Auburn took over, kicked field goal, and beat Alabama in the Iron Bowl. At Jordan Hare.
Polo says both had other moments, but one memorable moment would be Kirk Gibson and Dennis Eckersley in the World Series.
Yep, it's when Kirk Gibson came off the bench, barely could walk.
Michael says Alabama should have its spring training at Mike Griffith's rental property.
There we go.
Well, that's where you let DeBoer stay. DeBoer and family stay. We'll put the teams at Phoenix All Suites.
I was about to say, you're just going to have them take over one of the Phoenix.
Yeah, Phoenix,
20
Phoenix All
condos
Suites
down there.
Yeah. 11 a.m. on a Friday morning is both stupid and disrespectful to the Egg Bowl.
Well, you guys know why. It's television. But if you missed it earlier, it was announced Mississippi State and Ole Miss. They will play Black Friday at 11 a.m. I can't wait for Lane Kiffin to have fun with that weekly press conference. He'll have something
those
to
fan
say.
bases will have no problem getting up and getting ready for that.
What meal would y'all eat the rest of your life if you had to choose?
Ooh.
I'm going Greek chicken.
That's a good one.
See, there's a lot of things. Like, I was going to go like
Can we
steak
eat
and a baked potato.
Does
but
it affect my life expectancy?
Exactly.
Or are we throwing that out? We're throwing that out.
Sure.
Okay. Filet, bacon wrap filet.
Hmm.
Man, I got to go with just the best macaroni and cheese I've ever had in my life.
See, I was going to go prime rib, mashed potatoes, and asparagus.
Yeah, that's good.
I'd eat
Asparagus is good too.
that. Love asparagus.
I think I'll go salad as well, but like a loaded up salad.
Yeah.
A lot of different stuff because I'm eating this for the rest of my life. And at this point, if health's not a factor, then I need to have some bread, some table bread to serve with it.
Well, naturally. Look at us, still choosing vegetables even though our health isn't on the line, Landrum. Our wives would be proud.
It's a great compliment to what we chose.
That's right.
What besides Greek chicken? You're going with rice, Pat?
Yes.
Pat's not going vegetable.
No.
We know better than that.
No.
Oh, Matthew. Very good. I can't believe they didn't wait until 2:00 to announce a new pope on the Paul Feinbaum show.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Well, it's because he's out, right? That's why.
Probably why. And the fact that Rome is 7 hours ahead of us, so they probably did not do the math properly. They probably missed it by a couple hours. That's why they gave it to us.
Lights on in Space Mountain, the ride, the most adrenaline rush roller coaster of all time. You
It's a good
agree?
one. I wouldn't go all time, but it's good.
It's not scary because like the drops, it's just, oh my gosh, when you realize how close you are to everything that's hanging, from the ceiling and how close you are to being decapitated at any second.
This one rolling in from Jim. He says, worked at Disney right after college for 4 months. Back in the days of paper green e-tickets. I'd collect tickets working at the Jungle Cruise and then pocket enough to invite young ladies to meet after work to ride Space Mountain.
Oh, okay.
Rode that ride easily 100 plus times. Was a great summer. Top speed was only around 22 miles per hour, but in the dark, it was awesome. Good for you.
Good for you.
Good for you, Jim. Really good for you.
I feel like Splash Mountain would be easier though because the seats are wider.
Opryland had a ride that I will say was a knockoff of Space Mountain, and it was called Chaos.
Really? I've never been to Opryland.
It was inside?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Like, wait,
Sure
at
was.
the mall?
No.
Bless him.
I'm like, wait, what? What was I deprived of from
Hold
my
on.
childhood?
I love this. So good. We get genuine moments from
From the youngsters.
our youngsters.
Opryland was an amusement park in Nashville.
Where the mall is now?
Was it? It was close, wasn't it?
It was close. If I'm not mistaken, Opryland was close to where Titan Stadium is.
I do remember Chaos.
The Cannonball Run.
Yeah.
That was another
Mm-hmm.
at Opryland.
Opryland was fun.
Yeah.
I feel like Dolly World has taken a lot of what
Mhm.
was Opryland, but on steroids and
Yes.
more expansive. Just from what I've seen, I still have not been to Dollywood,
I haven't either.
but they have,
Me
from what
neither.
a lot of good thrill rides.
Yeah.
They've done a good job. It's not like just the one roller coaster and then you're done. You know, Walt Disney, after watching a special on him, Disneyland, that's as far as he wanted to go with theme parks. But then they decided they were going to create another theme park because Disneyland, outside of Disneyland, all these tourist trap type businesses started setting up.
Mm.
And if you're going to come to
Do
our
you see
theme
where they're
park,
building the new Disney?
you're going to spend
whatever?
everything here.
Did you see that? Abu Dhabi?
Wait, they're building a Disney World in Abu Dhabi? Okay.
Sure was.
I think
Or sure is.
live show. Let's do it. I don't know what the time constraints are, but
I'd rather not.
we definitely going to need your star ID for that one.
Feel safer over here.
That's going to do it for us. The Paul Feinbaum Show is next. Thanks for joining us. Join us again tomorrow.